Welcome into the Casual Gaming Conversation. I'm Connor. That's Nick. Joining us this week is Brady for the yearly Game of the Year discussion. We've all brought our top 10 games of 2024. We're going to break down our lists 10 to 1, and at the end, we're going to go over one big list. Putting all of our lists together, Laura has done the math to get one top 10 list to rule them all. And we're going to go over that at the end and figure out what our Game of the Year is. Nick, how are we doing?
Doing great. Happy New Year, boys. So we're shooting this on January 1st because co-op day has now come and passed and everything. We had to shoot. We would normally shoot this on a Sunday, but we do not have that available because we will be going and shooting content for 24 hours leading into Sunday. This is going to go up at the very end of co-op day, which is really exciting for those over on Patreon, which is super dope. And then it'll go up later on Wednesday, which is just so new. I'm so excited to be able to talk about things, but more importantly, this is the most excited I am for a podcast every year. It is this and then predicting Game of the Year stuff. Like the end of the year content slate that we do is so exciting to me. I love it. I'm really excited to hop into this podcast. We have guessed many times on what each other's list is, what each other's number one is. This is going to be a hell of a podcast. I'm looking forward to it. Brady, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. Open the envelope now. I want to know what's in there. I'm so excited to see what the conjoined list is, and I don't think Nick has any idea what my list is. Every time you've guessed, I'm like, those games are on the list, but you're not close.
I think I have your number one locked and loaded, but I'm not going to say
Here's the thing.
I can't wait.
We have also all predicted each other's list. There are so many lists that we made in the past, like 24 hours. Shout out to Laura for doing the math for that list, so we were able to have it be secret to us as we do this podcast. But we're going to be going through our 10 down to 1 and everything. That's going to take no less than 7 to 8 hours. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Speaking of lists, I made my top 50 list for all the games that I played this year that I completed, and I can finally show it to you after this.
Yeah.
Because on that list has the 2024 games, so that would have spoiled it. So I was like, I'll hold off until after the podcast, then I can show you my top 50.
Is your number one from this year on that list?
I think so.
Okay, so it wasn't an old game.
Number two is an old game.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. But the number one is from this year. Yeah.
Cool. But yeah, Connor, how are you feeling in the new year?
I'm feeling good. This is very exciting to finally be able to talk about our top 10 lists. But just jumping right into it, we have a Patreon now. As you know, from Co-op 64 Day, you can be getting this show 3 days early over on patreon.com/coop64, COOP64. No dash, no underscore, or whatever it is. So if you would like to support the show that way, you can do that. You also get a bonus episode of the Casual Gaming Conversation. We have a lot of fun, exciting ones for you in the next few weeks. We have the PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale Dream roster that Nick and I have already shot.
Much fun.
Super fun episode. Upcoming, we have guessing Metacritic scores for 2025 games. And more importantly, the most important one, we have the Uncharted 4 spoiler cast coming up. So you have about a month from when this posts to get ready for that if you would like to play along or just like refresh your memory. I'm pretty far into it. These boys haven't started it yet. I'm very excited to talk about Uncharted 4, a game that I haven't played since 2016. So go support us over there on Patreon. You also get bonus episodes of the Co-op 64 podcast and Recollecting Retro if you're at the $10 tier, if you want to support that way. So there's a lot of ways to support the channel over on Patreon. Very exciting for those who enjoy the podcast.
Yeah, a lot of podcast content over on the Patreon.
Yes.
That we definitely want to serve that audience. That was one of the biggest things that we heard all last year was where's the content? Basically, where's more podcast content that I can take you with me in my car to start out my Monday morning drive or do the dishes to? And we're like, oh yeah, like we're gonna not just go and give you one new podcast, the Casual Gaming News Conversation, which we're gonna go and do every single Monday for YouTube, 3 days early on Patreon, but also we have the bonus pod, and then every single other week, you're going to get some sort of longer form content between Recollecting or the Co-op 64 podcast, which Brady's a part of. Brady, how do you feel that like you're going to have to probably podcast with us at least once a month now, but most likely maybe twice a month? It's exciting.
Love hearing you talk, dude. Can't wait to hear you talk more. It'll be a good time. I love goofing. It's fun. As much as we love video games, to talk about video games, the Co-op 64 podcast is will just be a good time for us to just yap it up about whatever we want, dude.
Yeah, I mean, that first episode's already shot and is up on YouTube for free for everyone, which is great. But then the Patreon exclusive content for January and everything will come out. But I was listening back to that first co-op podcast, and I'm laughing my ass off. I'm having a great time with it. So I think it's pretty good content. Go check that out if you just want us to go and talk and hang out. What's so funny, Brady?
I just remembered the extreme amount of poop talk for no reason on that first podcast. I'm like, this is nonsense.
It is nonsense. Do we want to hop into it?
We got more housekeeping to get to. Twitch, we're starting the new year with a lot of fun, exciting streams. Monday streams are going to be posted on YouTube now on Tuesday, so we're going to be tightening those up a little bit and making them more like tailored, must-see viewing on the live feed on Twitch, but also something that you can watch back over on YouTube. So we're going to be doing Bloodborne, Brady's first playthrough to start the year. First Souls game ever. It's going to be super fun. You're not going to want to miss it. That's going to be every Monday, posted on YouTube on Tuesdays. Nick is going to be starting Metroid Prime on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
You want to trade?
And I'm going to be playing Nier Automata for the first time. So a lot of games that people have requested us play, and it's going to be a really fun way. If you're getting into Co-op 64 to start the new year, it's going to be a lot of fun over on the Twitch side of things. We also have the Discord and merch link in our bio. Discord, over 2,000 community members talking, hanging out, playing games together, making friendships. Join up over there. Merch, we have t-shirts, hoodies, mugs. We also have a new shirt over there. It's like kind of like a college style Co-op 64 established 2023 shirt. We like to keep the designs pretty simple, a little bit low key, and we feel like that's a good way with the new shirts to kind of fit in the mold that we already have. So go check that out if you would like. And finally, leave us nice reviews on Apple Podcast services. It gets the shows out to more people, and we'd really appreciate that. It's time. The game of the year discussion. We're going to go 10 across the board. We're all going to say our 10s, and then we'll snake back around 9, so on and so forth. We'll do honorable mentions in between 2 and 1, and then we will go and do the aggregate list at the end once we all have it. I'm going to try not to do math in my head while we're going. I'm just going to let it happen.
I never try to do math
but
in my head.
I would also say that, like, when Nick is reading his 10, and if it's further up on my list, I might just hold back from talking about it, or might have like a little bit of a back and forth, and then we'll really get into it when we each have the game show up on our list.
I was about to say, we also will probably tee each other up a little bit, being like, my number 10 is Hellblade 2 or whatever. It's not. But let's just say,
3, dude.
yeah, it's number 1. But if I were to go and say that and Brady had it as his number 5 or something, Brady might be like, yeah, we might be talking about that one a little bit later. Like, just going and making sure that we don't waste all of the podcasting. But if it is on no one else's list, then that person might just get to let it rip for 48 minutes as I go and talk about Hellblade 2. But no, are we ready to hop in?
Yeah, so we'll snake it. So you'll do 10 and then around to me, and then I'll do 10 and 9 and back.
Okay.
Before we do that, did we want to read our guesses? Because we all wrote down what we thought.
We'll save those for the end.
Okay.
Save those for the end. All right, my number 10. I got to make sure. I had a hell of a time making this list. This was one of the most difficult lists.
You played more games from 2024 than either of us, by far.
Yeah.
But you played a lot of stuff that I don't like. College Football 25 that's like not going to make the list.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
But also, I held down like 2 of the biggest releases for us this year between Erdtree and Metaphor.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, Star Wars is a big release. It just didn't.
I held down many big releases, but I would say for like those are game of the year noms that both of you guys didn't complete. All right, ready?
Yep.
Hit me.
We're here, boys. My number 10.
It's gonna be Silent Hill 2.
Is Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown.
Wow.
Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is just an excellent Metroidvania. The only reason that this game is not a 9 out of 10 or above for me was the fact that the story, I just could not tell you a year later what the fuck happens in that game. I have no recollection. Like, I think there's shards out there and you need to collect the shards. I have no fucking idea what's happening. I remember some of the villains and some of the boss designs, obviously, because like that's the interesting aspect of it, but I do not remember what the fuck happens in the story. But the Metroidvania aspects of this game are excellent. They are super fun to go and platform and fight bosses. The combat in this game feels really fucking tight. This feels like a AAA Metroidvania, which we don't get too often. It's normally from an indie team. Getting something that is this polished and is this delightful from a AAA studio is fucking epic to have. Shout out to that studio. It's really sad that they closed down and will not be making more titles, because I would love a direct sequel to this.
I'm playing Rayman Origins right now, which is the same studio that did that, and it's like, man, they just know how to make platforming games, and to have the Metroidvania style and add combat to that like system. It's like you can see the through line of they've just made excellent games their entire run, and it sucks that they got shut down.
But from the combat standpoint, unfucking believable. I absolutely adore this game. I just think that the combat is so fucking fun, and this was the first time I got my ass handed to this year. It happened many more times throughout the year of me just getting beat down by games, but the combat was like really difficult for me.
It's hard as fuck.
Yeah.
Jason says it's not that hard at all.
Yeah.
He did like every boss in like 2-3 tries. And I was like, I did certain bosses in like 25.
Isn't there a mode in that game where you just do the boss fights? Because I think
it was a DLC.
Yeah, because I went over, I never beat this game, or I never played this game. But I went over to Jason's house and we spent some late nights together, and I would just literally sit there and watch him play this game and just like go through the boss fights, and I was like, oh damn, this looks pretty cool.
You would probably like it.
It would be about it. But yeah, the boss fights and designs are just phenomenal. Like, everything that is not the story in this game is a 9 out of 10. It is fucking amazing. And then when it comes to the Metroidvania aspects of the map layout, I'm like, this map is going to be so much fun to explore. And guess what? It is so much fun to explore as you go and weave through the entire map. What up, Con?
I was so worried it was going to be annoying to get through the entire map, because it's a big map, and they, in the review document that they gave us, they gave us a map or whatever in case we needed it. And like, damn, this is huge, and backtracking is going to be annoying. And when you have like the different corners of where you're supposed to go to get like the item you need to progress, it's like, oh,
it's forever away.
But then every single time you're just zipping straight there. It's like, oh, that was pretty quick. It's just very breezy to get through.
Yeah, there's certain moments where I felt like I was like, oh shit, we're gonna need to go down this like deep chasm, and surely enough, it's just like you just float down there, and then like you move a little bit to the left, and all of a sudden there's your tree that it goes and becomes a save point. It's really funny. Apparently later in the game they went and made the trees actually like you can transport tree to tree, which was a huge complaint that I had when I initially played it.
Oh, they updated
Yeah,
it
they
to
updated
that?
it, and now you can do that to make it a little bit easier to traverse the map
That's
and
kind of
everything.
nice or whatever, but I didn't really feel like that was a negative for me, having to go to the specific points to teleport. So.
Yeah, there's like those stones that allow you to teleport, but I did at certain times be like, like I made a mistake, and now I need to go all the way back up and around because there's not a stone close by. It's cool that that team works on that and just was like, hey, quality of life, we understand that like this is going to make the game a lot easier for a lot of people, but like, sure, the bosses are still going to be hard as shit, and you're going to find difficulty in the platforming sections. The platforming is unbelievable. The platforming is so fucking good in this game. Good. And like when you are going and jumping, dashing, going up, like just every single moment, I'm like, this shit is awesome. And it has moments where I'm like almost feel like I'm playing Celeste or something, where it gets you right back into the flow of things. You're back into it, having fun. It's my number 10. One of the most difficult spots I've ever had for one of these lists, where like I felt like 9 through 1. I'm like, yep, everything here makes sense to be in my top 10. This could have been like 3 or 4 different games. And for me, I was like, I said at the start of this year, I'm like, this will probably be on my top 10 list. And I will want to sing this game's praises for a very long time. And it was my number 10. I can say that pretty confidently, that this game for me was my number 10. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. And now we're hopping into Brady.
Brady, what do we got? Number 10.
Number 10. Well, I probably would have never touched this game if it wasn't for Nick, and I'm sure it's a little higher on your list and not on Connor's list at all. But my number 10 is Tekken 8.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
I'm 1 for 1.
Call that one. There we go. I mean, this is a game I probably would have never played on my own time. I mean, I like fighting games, but I'm just never like seeking them out. But then Nick was like, "You're streaming this year," and then we just one shot it, did the whole campaign, and it was a great time. It was such a joy to play. Like, and the fact that they're still adding DLC to it and everything, and this is one of those games where we'll just come over and be like, let's throw some Tekken 8 on while we watch some football, and it's just super fun to get back into fighting games. And that story mode was just such an enjoyable time from beginning to end, and I'm happy to put it at my number 10. Yeah.
It's higher on my list for sure. This was one that you and I got to sit down and like we were like, okay, thermometer goals, extra life. Brady needs to be Tekken 8. Like, and you're like, yeah, I want to be Tekken 8. And to sit down and I remember finishing it out with you, and you're like, that was really fucking fun. And I was like, yeah, dude, there's a reason I love this
we
game.
did play it because there was a lot of other games that came out this year that I played that I'm like, man, I really don't want to put these on my list. But I was like, Tekken 8. Yeah, like I love Tekken 8. I'm happy to put that on there. And honestly, I could have seen it being a little higher, but like,
a lot of great games.
Yeah, I'm glad it just scraped on there. It was really good.
I thought you were going to say something else, so it's interesting that it's Tekken. I'm 0 for 1 for Brady's
Did you even
list.
have Tekken 8 on there?
Interesting.
Interesting. I wonder what you have
forgot.
on there.
Yeah.
Now that you played that. My number 10 is Helldivers 2.
Really?
What an excellent co-op experience. A game that called it. I called that this game was going to be great, and I did not expect it to be as big as it was, but it totally took over. In recent months, things have kind of ebbed and flowed on people's excitement about this game. There's been problems with having to sign into PSN on PC and stuff like that, but overall, this game, they've listened to the community and they've got it to a really great place and just released that new faction to fight against, and people are back in, really enjoying it. But as somebody who only got to play it in those first few months, I got the exact experience that I was looking for. Just a fun time shooting robots, shooting bugs with friends, hilarious moments that just like kind of happen naturally, that like aren't scripted but feel like they are. You know what I mean? Like you're throwing down a stratagem like next to somebody, you're like, get out of there, and they're just like running away and get blown up, and like it's hilarious and fun and awesome. And then like diving onto the ship as you're like the last one to extract in like the last possible second as you've been like training the automatons like around. It's so fun, so goofy, and I think it just respects the player's time and money more importantly. Like the DLC for the battle pass like is affordable. Like if you want to do that, it's a $40 package that you feel like you're getting your money's worth. But if you want a little bit more out of it, like it's not these like $20 skins that like Valorant or Fortnite has. I know that they've done like something a little bit more expensive for that Killzone 2, but I think that makes sense to me.
I don't know if they've backtracked.
Oh yeah,
Killzone.
They gave it away for free.
Yeah,
now.
it's now out there. Just which is another one of the things where like they listened to their audience really well. They heard the feedback, and people were like, "That's a bad choice. This is a $40 game. We do not want to spend a shit ton of money on cosmetics." And they're like, "You're fucking right."
Yeah. Good idea.
My number 9 is Animal Well. Just a really excellent Metroidvania game. Gorgeous art style, excellent atmosphere, an atmosphere that I think is very unique and leaves a lot up for interpretation on what exactly is going on, why you're doing the things that you're doing, and you're picking up frisbees and yo-yos and slinkies, and that's your toolkit. Like it's so interesting and weird and sets stuff apart that it's a Metroidvania game without any combat. There is ways to die, of course, but like you're not focused on hitting anything. You're focused on solving puzzles, figuring out ways to progress, finding secrets, finding those eggs to collect.
I'm sorry. I remember when I was like deep into that game and I was like, Connor, I found so many eggs. He's like, have you gotten to like the objective yet? And I was like, wait, the objective is not to find eggs?
We were going out to SGF and Brady's just like, I'm just going for eggs. I'm never gonna beat this fucking game. I'm just collecting these eggs.
I love that game.
So Animal Well, and I think it ends really strong. There's just like this sinister nature like behind you at all moments that like eventually creeps into the spotlight and then goes away. And it's like it's really interesting and really impactful in this small indie package made by one person, published by Big Mode, Donkey's game publisher. Excited to see what Billy Basso has next up his sleeve. I imagine it's going to take forever. He did the art. Usually if you're like making a game on your own, like you might like get some like outside help or whatever, but like you're like the central figure. He did the art, he did the sound design, like all like the whale noises he made like into a microphone and everything. Like
just imagining this man.
It is literally exactly. There's a video of him doing that. It's awesome. Like it's very cool that he put this game together, and it should definitely be commended.
But before we continue on, another game that I think we might hear about again is Animal Well. But I've seen this game many times throughout the year. I've seen the art style. I've seen the art direction. Is it like super atmospheric? Should you play this game with headphones potentially with the sound design?
With headphones,
I did too, yeah.
There's certain sounds that I think are like really visceral and would kind of benefit from
the leaky water, dude.
Yeah, like the leaky, or like the I don't want to spoil it. I'm just going to refrain from saying it. But
sorry, I spoiled the leaky water.
Yeah. But yeah, there's certain moments for sure, but I don't think it's necessary.
Ooh, this is a great time to say it. If we accidentally spoil something or we feel like a spoiler is necessary, we're not trying to spoil any of these games. Like, that is not the intention of this podcast. Spoiler walls will be up. That's just something I plan on doing for every podcast that we do forever in the future. I did that for all of our co-op award stuff where there were certain categories that we had to throw up some spoiler walls. So just in the future, if you're watching on YouTube or Spotify or Apple, normally it time codes very well. Just go
I know how Apple works. I know Spotify.
Yeah, Spotify does it very well. Spotify used to do it just like by itself. I didn't even put them in there, and it did it manually. But I just was like, wanted to throw that one out there. If and when we ever spoil something on any of our podcasts and we remember it, we believe it's a spoiler, we have that conversation after the fact. The spoiler walls will be up. Just a heads up. So we're not trying to spoil any of these games, even as we continue on going forward with this podcast.
Brady, what do you got at number 9?
Number 9 was a buzzer beater, dude. I mean, I beat this game yesterday.
Okay.
I beat it yesterday. Neva is never ever going to be on my list because mouthwash is number 9. Mouthwashing is number 9. I really enjoyed this game. I'm glad that Connor.
2 for 2, by the way. 2 for 2.
On the spot?
I had taken 8 at Brady's 10, and I had mouthwashing at Brady's 9. I'm fucking dialed in.
You're going to fall apart after this.
That's so true. Sorry to interrupt.
Mouthwashing was such a good time. The story was fantastic. If you're looking for
mouthwashing at number 8 for Brady.
Number 8. Oh, I'm so excited to see what you had. Mouthwashing. It's only 2.5 hours. I love a good short tight game, and the story was so enjoyable. And I mean, it's what,
enjoyable?
Enjoyable.
That's the word you're using?
Is that a word?
No, it's totally a word. I'm saying that it's a messed up story.
Well, it's messed up, but it's like it makes you think, especially towards the end. You're like, oh, and you're like bouncing back and forth from character to character, and then it kind of all comes together at the end, and you're like, oh, that's not who I thought the bad guy was.
Yeah.
One of those kind of things. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's 2.5 hours. It's $12, and I mean, what a surprise for the end of the year to shut it down. And I mean, like, what a buzzer beater. The last day of the year, I beat it, and I texted Laura. I was like, I have to change my list. I'm sorry. And I really enjoyed it. You beat it yesterday.
Yeah, I also beat it yesterday. Not on my list. I'm just going to say that now because I want to yap it up a little bit about it. And we had great conversations. Brady and I went bowling yesterday, and we're just like hanging out talking about this game. And this is one of those games that, like any good 2.5 hour movie, the best part is going and leaving the theater and then yapping it up with your buddy about what you just witnessed and all these theory craftings and everything. And like, did you get this aspect of it? There's a scene in this game that is like one of the best scenes in gaming this year. That is just a conversation between two characters, and you're like, holy shit, this did not need to go as crazy as it did, but it's epic. How did you feel about the gameplay aspects of this? Because that's the reason it's not on my list, where like some of the gameplay aspects are a very video game thing where it's like this only works in a video game, but a lot of it also I was just like, we didn't need to do X, Y, and Z. I brought up the cake moment in this game. I was like, we don't need to make this cake. Like that doesn't need to happen right now.
I kind of enjoyed it. I mean, like, I didn't want it to be like that spoon fed to me. I liked the few parts where you like had to kind of put some thought into it, and you were like, this is what I need to do, and it kind of gives that puzzle aspect to it, but it's not super difficult. And I enjoyed the gameplay. I almost wish there was like a little more of because there's only like three or 4 parts where you like have to really think about it and then figure it out. So I kind of wish there was a little bit more, but it is only 2.5 hours. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. All right, my number 9. This game I'm not going to talk too much about because I believe it is higher on both your lists. My number 9 is Stellar Blade. Stellar Blade is the best action game this year. This game is pure gas. Before Connor came into my apartment today, I was listening to the Stellar Blade soundtrack. That is the thing that I want to harp on because I believe that both of you guys might discuss this game a little bit later. I could be wrong. It might not be on either of your lists, but I think it will be. The soundtrack is so fucking good in this game. It is unbelievable how good the soundtrack is in this game. And every single time I go and think back on playing it, I'm like, I'm just not going to play it. I'm just going to go and enjoy the soundtrack and take a beat for myself there. But the combat, excellent. World design, excellent. This game has flaws. This game has clear flaws, in my opinion. We didn't need those open world sections. They were unnecessary. Let's keep it a little bit more linear. Tighten some things up. But for this game to come out and be as good as it was, I was really looking for a game throughout this year to go and just be combat-centric and deliver the goods. And a lot of people look to Black Myth to be that game for this year. I think that if you played both, I don't know how you don't think that the combat in Stellar Blade is tighter. I just think that it is elite level. So yeah, that is my number 9. I don't want to go too long on it for sure. My number 8 for this year. Oh, I have y'all's list up right now because I'm 2 for 2 on Brady's list. I'll stop interjecting every time that I'm right because, gosh darn it, I'm so smart. Another game that's definitely on both your lists. Another game that is very high on both your lists, I assume. My number 8 is Balatro. Balatro is a excellent indie game. I give it an 8.5 when I finally finished the game. You can't finish Balatro. This is a forever game. This is the coolest part of this game. I won't talk about the gameplay mechanics too much because once again, I believe that it's both on your list. There was a moment where I'm playing this game in the airplane and I'm just like hanging out, having a great time, playing it on the Switch. I'm like, this is going to be a game that I am taking with me forever. And then to go 7 months later, be in the car with Brady before New Year's Eve, and for him to be playing Balatro on his phone, I'm like, this is going to be a game that exists forever. And that is really fucking cool. Yep. And that is really impressive. One of the best titles this year, for sure, with a bullet. It won a lot of awards, and it's going to win a lot of awards, and it deserves it. It is a great game. It's not in the upper echelon for me this year, but once again, we're talking about the top 10 this year. This is a great game. I really enjoyed this title. It's my number 8.
The guy who made Balatro, Local Thunk, somebody gave it their Game of the Year or whatever, and he's like, he tweeted out yesterday, he's like, does this mean we can make Balatro Game of the Year edition now? Just give us permission?
Good. Yeah, that's good.
All right, Brady, what is your number 8?
Before I say it, Balatro, having it on my phone is dangerous.
Yeah.
I just literally play it way too much.
We're in the back of the car, and Jess is like socialized. We're like, me and Brady's wife and a couple other friends are all singing Katy Perry, and then Brady's just dialed in on Balatro, just going for two pairs left and right. And I'm like, this is what it's all about. We discussed about Rebirth with Queen's Blood. It's like, why isn't this on mobile? This would be super addicting. And then I like that Balatro's like, oh no, we're putting it on mobile. We're gonna make it fucking awesome.
It's made for mobile.
Yeah,
it's the greatest $10 I've ever spent. All right, moving on. We'll talk more about Balatro later. Trust me.
Yeah.
Sitting at my number 8, I have Black Ops 6. Are you 3 for 3?
No, wait, I might be.
I'm happy to put Black Ops 6 at number 8. It brought me back into Call of Duty. I never thought I would love a Call of Duty ever again.
Yep.
The zombies leaves a lot to be desired. I'll say that. I never want to pick up zombies. Andy will text me and be like, "You want to play zombies?"
But you don't like zombies to begin with.
I do. I like zombies, but it's like I'll play one, and then by the time we get to round 20, I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah. So it's like if Andy will be like, "Let's play zombies," and I'm like, "I'll play one game," but we'll finish 2.5 hours of zombies. Be like, "Let's play another," and I'm like, "No, let's go play gunfight or something."
Yeah.
But no, this the multiplayer and the campaign is absolutely phenomenal. The multiplayer brought me back into Call of Duty. I'm like, this is the Call of Duty I love, and I haven't even touched Prop Hunt yet.
Dude, Prop Hunt is a great time, man. This one didn't make my list.
Really? Whoa!
It's my most played game this year outside of Elden Ring. Once again, that fight for that 10th spot was a fucking battle. It was a fucking battle. I literally stayed up very late into the night. There was certain nights that I'm literally tossing and turning, thinking about Black Ops 6. Is it going to be on my list? And I just could not find a way. I was one spot off. I had this at your number 7. Yeah. But yeah, I don't want to commandeer what you're saying and everything because you're the one championing this game today. Because it's not on my list. I assume it's not on Connor's list. But this game is fucking awesome. Yeah. And the fact that we are shooting this before co-op day is a little bit sad to me because during co-op day, it's going to be community game night and everything at 4 a.m. You and me are playing COD, and it's just going to be us back and forth, tossing the controller back and forth, playing multiplayer with the community. It's this game is so fucking good. Yeah. It is so good.
The campaign is really good, but that's not even what does it for me. It's the multiplayer that it made me feel like a kid again. It wrapped me back into Call of Duty, and it's this is what I loved about Call of Duty.
It's just I can't play multiplayer games for a long period of time at this point. I just need to bounce off of them and go play something single player or go back to Valorant. Just my comfort food. It's just how it works for me for some reason. But for the time that I did spend with Call of Duty Black Ops 6, I loved it. It does. You're totally right. It does feel like old Call of Duty again, and that's what I want.
Before we move on to you, this game has one of the best moments this year. which is the sound cue in the 6th chapter. Like if you know what I'm talking about, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you got there, it is, in my opinion.
You overhyped it a little bit.
I
did overhype.
I definitely. Here's the thing.
You're doing it right now too.
I might.
That's what Nick does. That's what Nick does.
That is true. I might have I was like, this is arguably my favorite level this entire year. So that is immediately, we're talking about this game coming out in October. I'm playing it like November 1st, November 2nd when I get to the campaign finally. And I'm like, yeah, this might be my favorite level of the year. That is a batshit insane statement.
I was at the chapter before and we were like talking on the phone and you were like, oh, you're almost to the greatest chapter in this year. And then I was like in the chapter, I'm like waiting for something to happen. And I beat the chapter. I'm like, what was he talking about?
I know, but the second you get that first ability, we all know what I'm talking about in that chapter, I'm like, this shit fucking slaps, and it doesn't let up the gas at all. It's also for me the moment that like Call of Duty gets creative, where I'm like, oh dude, we're talking not paint by the numbers like Call of Duty the entire time, whether it's not a straight up war story or more recently a straight up Fast and Furious movie, but we're gonna get completely creative with it. They fucking delivered. Like, if this was just a campaign and just multiplayer, when I was reviewing it, I probably would have given it either an 8.5 or a 9. Yeah. Like, it is so well done. I shout out to the team over at Treyarch for that one. Like,
it was
fucking believable. The return to form.
Not paint by the numbers, Mason.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah, there you
go. That's gonna be one of Laura's trivia question wombo combos. Paint by the numbers, Mason.
All right, Connor, what do you got at number 8?
My number 8 is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I out of left field, and I, at the end of the day, it ended up where I thought it was going to land.
Yep.
I was really high on it in the first 2/3, and then as it went on, I started to like it a little bit less. I think it peaks at that 2/3 moment where there's 2 back-to-back set pieces that are jaw-dropping, Uncharted-esque, and of course Indiana Jones-esque, because like that's where Uncharted comes from anyways. Where like I was like, oh, this is the shit that I'm looking for, and I don't think it really reaches those same heights later in the game. And there's a section where you're in a boat for a really long time, and I just like didn't like that section very much. But outside of that, great puzzles, combat's fun. It's a Zelda game. Somebody in our Discord said this. I apologize, I don't remember exactly who it was, but they said that Indiana Jones is like a really solid first-person Zelda game, and that's spot on. Like, it's more about the puzzles and the temples and trying to figure out like how you're going to get through these environments and use your brain to do that. And I think that's super fun, super engaging. It scratched an itch that I didn't even know that I had. Great characters. Boss is a awesome, terrible villain. Like he is so punchable, as Nick said. Like, he has a punchable face, and you want to punch him really badly all the time. And he reminds you why constantly.
Yep.
I feel like we've gotten away from like great villains in video games almost across the board, and to have one in 2024 that is this good, I think is very impressive. So,
real quick,
I hope we get a sequel to this.
Yeah. Before you hop on to the next one, this is not on my list.
Wow.
Fucking.
Well, I guess you gave it an 8.
Yeah, I gave it an 8, but this game is arguably the most unique game this year, and it's from a AAA studio, and it's Machine Games, and like that you would just never expect to get something that is this truly unique. There's just not a lot of things like this on the market. There's honestly nothing else like it. It feels like when you're talking about a globe-trotting adventure that is first person and is focused about puzzle solving, this is not like this doesn't happen. And for it to be as good as it is awesome. But I keep on going back to the fact that Connor fell in love with the first half of the game. Like that was your that's when you were really high on it. I fell in love with the second half of this game, where I was like, this is like some good stuff. And then when it kicks into that second half and there's some more linear sections, and then the rest of the way, I'm like, fuck yeah, rock and roll. This is a great time. The thing that I keep on going back to is I'm like, there's got to be a fan out there that loved the first part, and then they love the second part, and then they just fucking love this game. Yeah. And that is how this game reviewed as well as it did, and performed as well as it did. I remember talking to somebody else that was reviewing the game and just being like, this shit slaps, right? Like, this is awesome. And then he was like, this shit's awesome. Like, we were just going back and forth, like, hanging out and just being like, the previews came out, and even the E3 trailer or the SGF, their Xbox Showcase trailer that was them in the Alps and everything. I'm like, I just don't know if this is going to be, like, great.
I always thought it was going to be great. I just didn't know how great it could
Right.
possibly be. And at the end of the day, I think it landed exactly where I hoped it would, and that's great.
Well,
An 8 out
that's
of 10 is great.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh, 100%. But I felt like after the previews and everything, I was like, oh, this. I always like, is this gonna get like a 72 on Metacritic?
No.
Like, is there? But this is the moment that when you're talking about great studios that know what the fuck they're doing and know how to make a fun, interesting game, Machine Games delivered 100% on this one. And once again, that 10th spot, that goddamn 10th spot, it kept me up at night, man. It really, if I'm being honest, it was between just Lost Round and Black Ops 6.
Yeah.
But Indiana Jones was another high contender there.
my number 7 is Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Nick already touched on this quite a bit, but what I really want to highlight is the flow state that this game kind of puts you in. I played Hollow Knight after this, and it's a very highly acclaimed Metroidvania, of course. And in those boss fights, I think they're really fun and have a good time, and scratch a certain itch in Hollow Knight. But then when you compare them to how I feel about the boss fights and the combat in Prince of Persia, I think it's night and day. Like, there's something just so satisfying about these parries, learning when to jump and dodge certain aspects of the boss fight, and how flashy these boss fights are. Like, the art design in this game is excellent, really, really good, and that feeling of coming out on top and coming out victorious is extremely satisfying in this game. And I think you do get that from Hollow Knight, but I think it's even better in Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. So when we're talking about one of the games that a lot of people consider one of the greatest games of all time in Hollow Knight, and me sitting here being like, Prince of Persia goes toe to toe in certain aspects, there you go. Prince of Persia, number 7.
Yeah, I didn't think that this was going to be on your list. I thought that this was going to be top 3, like 10, 9, 8 area. For it to be your number 7, that's fucking awesome, dude. Like, and once again, play this game. This game is going to be like, it's always on sale. It feels like I always see it just pop up with another sale. If you want just a great Switch game, like I could imagine going and be like, oh, like I got to go and do some traveling, or like house sitting, or just something stupid where you're going to go and have that like downtime to enjoy something mobile instead of going and playing something that's just like the guaranteed Nintendo banger. This game holds its own and is a great package. So shout out.
Brady, what do we got at number 7?
My number 7 is a game we already talked about, so I won't harp on it too much, but I've got Helldivers 2 at number 7. What a lovely game. It's the first game I ever reviewed, and it was really fun to review this game this year. What a great... It's so nice to, like, for your first review, just review a great game.
Yeah.
And they're still adding stuff to it. Like, my brother-in-law, Ryan, was showing me clips of him playing this game, like, this week, and I was like, holy shit, like that looks so cool. I need to get back into this game because like I was like you, I played a ton of it when it first came out, and then I kind of fell off of it. But yeah, dude, it was like movie scene moments where you're just running away from explosions and you're like, don't look back, don't look back. And then from cool scenes like that to Nick just shooting you.
The amount of people in our Discord that's just like, man, I miss the good old days of Nick just like where the chopper's coming in, we need to extract, and then Nick just lights me up for no reason. I'm like, what are you talking about? I never.
But yeah, Helldivers 2, number 7, great game. I need to get back into it.
I'm playing it tonight, which is awesome because it's also my number 7.
Oh, nice.
And I thought that this was the area was going to be for all of us around here, where it wasn't the best game this year, but god damn if it's not one of the most fun games this year. This game is just a blast. When it comes to the mechanics, though, in this game, the weapons layout, you're going to have a fun time no matter what you're picking up. But is there a better moment this year than typing in that first stratagem? I don't know if there is. Like that first moment where you're like, you got these bug monsters coming at you, and all of a sudden you're just like, fuck, and you're typing it in on the D-pad.
You're fucking it up. Yeah. You're like, up, down, oh, shit.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
This game's fucking awesome.
There was a point, like, I think it was a couple months ago, where I just picked Ghost of Tsushima back up, and I was just doing some random stuff. And I was only like 45 minutes into my play time, and I got an invite randomly from my buddy Taryn, and it's like, play Helldivers 2. And you know what? I was like, you know what? I will play Helldivers 2 right now. And it was like great. And you could just jump in the middle of their game, and so I just Helldived right in there and play with them. It was a great time.
Another amazing mechanic. But then this is the other classic moment that I want to highlight. I love playing games with my friends. I love playing games with you guys. I love playing games with Braden and Shane and Jason, and just like any time that we can get like a group on to go and have a moment. This game was like the moment. And for it to be a $40 title, that is nuts. For a multiplayer game, I know that it's an extraction shooter, so it's different than like a hero shooter or something like that, or just a straight up 5v5 comp. But like, it is unbelievable that they're like, it's going to be $40, but the quality's there. Believe in us, it's going to be great. And then for everyone to be recommending it, it was super fun. The fact that it completely took over TikTok and was just meme after meme, and just like I will never forget it. That first time like opening up TikTok, it was like a Saturday morning after we review it, and I see this girl being like, yeah, if you go and have a boyfriend that is obsessed with Helldivers right now, here's what to do. And it's just like her bringing him liberty, and it's just like this shit's fucking awesome. Like this is
Speaking of that, the meta of like spreading democracy and for Super Earth and stuff like that, super cool. Love the vibe of like the silly Starship Troopers ass like universe that you're in. Like a lot of people like talking about like not losing what was it, something Creek, that one planet,
Malevolent Creek,
where they were
Work
losing the
together.
battle, and automatons were just absolutely shredding everybody. It was awesome. It was hilarious, and like the way that the developers like played into that, and it, like one of them was like, I'm hearing reports of flying bugs. Those don't exist. That we have no reports of flying bugs existing, and like in the game there's literally flying bugs or whatever. Like shit's hilarious. Like they knew what they were doing, and this is a huge boon for PlayStation. I am shocked that Arrowhead has not been picked up and made a PlayStation first party studio at this point. 12 million copies like is the last we heard, and it's got to be closer to like 15 at this point, where that's huge. Like that is like one of the best selling PlayStation games ever. Like so like shout out to Arrowhead, shout out to PlayStation for publishing this game and putting a spotlight on it as much as they did. Helldivers 2 rules.
It's my turn again.
Nick, number 6.
This is where it gets interesting. These next few spots were back and forth the entire year. Number 6 is Neva, my favorite indie from this year. A game I can't shut the fuck up about, it feels like. I feel like I've talked about this game so many times on podcasts, so many times on Twitch streams, Instagram, or TikTok lives. Just like, I can't shut up about how good this game is. From a mechanic standpoint, it is pretty basic. It is still fun. It is very fun to go and slash and jump and dash. Like, it feels good. The puzzle solving feels good. So, like, from a base level, the gameplay aspects, you're just, like, having fun with those aspects. But this might be the best score this entire year. Like, the score in this game, the goal of this game is to just give the player a feast of emotions, and the score helps amplify that so much more. And then what you're looking at any moment, I'm like, yep, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Like just like not even this year, I'm just like, this is art. Like, I want to get a painting of some sort of Neva art in the apartment at some point, because I'm like, it is just this watercolor beautiful setting, and for them to use so many different colors, whether it is bright pinks or dark reds or just like this deep blue and black mix on certain levels. There's a level that's coming to mind, and once again, if you played Neva, you're like, I know what Nick's talking about right now. It's pretty fucking rad. Yeah, it's brilliant. And then from a theme of just like, hey, let's help the planet, like, it's always something that you can get behind. Like, it's really easy to go and root for this game. 4 hours, $20, one of the best $20 that you can spend this year. I begged the boys to play it. I begged both of them.
Did you not get through it?
No, I played like a decent amount of it, but I was like, as soon as I played mouthwashing, I was like, I'm not.
So that kind of I guess threw off my list because I thought you beat it.
Yeah. So I fucking love this game. Both gentlemen will not be talking about it. I could talk about this game literally for hours on end. When it comes to just indies in general, I feel like throwback to 2023, I'm in Connor's apartment and I played Journey for the first time, and I didn't have the emotional connection that like Connor was like, did you have this moment or anything? And I also didn't have like a gameplay moment that most players get when they play Journey back in the day. But like, I was like, yeah, this is like an excellent game, and I understand like that this is awesome. That emotional connection happened for me in Neva, where I'm like, this game completely is trying to capture my emotions, and it did its job very well. So that is at number 6.
Brady, what do we got for number 6?
Number 6 is a game that Nick probably thinks is a little higher on my list, but it's not. Number 6 is Stellar Blade. Is it where you have that?
I love that Brady is so interested to see how dialed the fuck in. By the way, Call of Duty and Helldivers, I just had flipped on your list. So I had your bottom 4 correct. 2 of them in the right slots. The other 2 just flipped around. You said Stellar Blade.
Stellar Blade
at 6.
Yep.
That is where I have Stellar Blade on Brady's list.
I thought it was top 3 for you.
No.
Stellar Blade is my number 6 as well.
Okay, great.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah, Stellar Blade's really, really enjoyable. It's the perfect amount of like difficult to like enjoyability. And like you know me, I don't like hard games that much, but like the boss fights are so enjoyable. They're so creative. There's that one specific one in the last half of the game. I don't want to give it away, but it's like just a bunch of stuff lumped together.
Oh yeah, I know.
It's like the music in that game and the gameplay is just so enjoyable. Like you said, it does leave a little bit to be desired when it comes to like character design and stuff. I didn't really love any of the characters. And then those open world parts were just not good, but
I like the open world parts.
Really?
Yeah, they're fun. If you want more gameplay and more things to fight, you can go fight some optional bosses, go clear some areas out. I had fun.
Yeah,
the platform was a little weird in that game, especially early on in those open area sections, and then it gets a lot better like later in the game. I think the game just gets stronger as it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I was about to say this game is like starts out. I'm like, this is like a 7.5 out of 10. And by the end of it, I'm like, this is like some of the best action fights ever. Just so good.
I loved the game at first, and I just because of the music and the spectacle, and I like the more linear sections, and then it opens up, and I think it gets a little bit weaker technically, but I still like those sections. And then like when it comes to how the bosses look and how different they are, and that's what these kind of games are all about, is fighting some freakos. Like it's just fun to fight some cool enemies. And I think that I can never remember the name of the aliens that you're fighting. But
the Alpha Nativa.
Yes.
Come on.
There you go.
You're
fighting the Alpha Nativas, or is it just the Nativa? I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Those are cool, but then like when you get later and you're fighting like more unique bosses, it's like, this is the shit that I'm looking for. Or whatever.
I remember like talking about bosses, and you're like, "Oh, it gets better."
Yeah,
the last third.
I always hate saying that to people. I'm like, you ain't seen nothing
yet.
Yeah. But like, it really is the case for Stellar Blade. I think what you guys have both said, the music, the boss design, the combat, really excellent. I actually do like the characters. I think Eve is interesting. I think Adam is interesting. The one that you save, the girl that you save, she's pretty cool as well. But like I think the characters are interesting enough. I think the writing is a little bit weak, but I think the overarching story is pretty profound, or at least like it's decently interesting enough to keep me going and intrigued to see what they do with the sequel, because I think we will get a sequel.
Yeah, I like the ending a lot too. The ending was like great because it is a split ending. You can do 2 different decisions, and
you and I did the same one, and Nick did the other one.
Oh, I thought Nick and I did the same one.
That's what I thought too.
And then you did a different one.
No. We'll talk about this off camera then.
Because one of my boss fights from this year was the final boss from Stellar Blade, but I didn't
play that. I didn't play that one.
Yeah, I did the one, and then immediately after I finished that boss fight and realized there was a different one, I went back and I did it immediately.
Yeah. I want to go back to this game, and I want to do it New Game Plus, like hard mode. But as Nick knows, I don't know if you know this, I didn't get the 3rd skill tree. Like you get, I didn't talk to somebody who I was supposed to right after that boss fight, and just never got
Interesting.
it. So I also played the game on hard mode technically because I didn't have one of the most useful skills.
Literally,
in the game.
it's like you are gaining an ability that is like any game that you gain a attack ability. It's like, oh, it's probably gonna be pretty decent ability if you get it deeper in the game.
There's only 3 skill trees like outside of like your main like just like regular stats or whatever. Like it is a core aspect of the game, and I just completely just don't.
And apparently other people missed it too, which is I didn't know that.
Because I looked it up to see like if I could like go back and get it somehow, and there isn't a way to just like pop back to that area. So
last third of this game is fucking excellent.
AAA is fucked too. Like
just as
certain
good as it
moments that are
gets.
like so set piece like driven that I'm just like, damn.
Literally,
that hit.
I think the music.
I think the last like 6 boss fights basically are all just like, this is now they just keep raising the bar. This is now the best fight in this game, and then it just keeps going, and I'm like, this is in my opinion a big reason why I appreciate this compared to something like Black Myth, where I'm like, when I'm doing the boss fights in something like Black Myth, I'm like, this is really, really great, especially boss design and everything. But I felt like the last fight was as good as the current fight and everything. Whereas this is legitimately, in my opinion, every single moment they're up in the stakes, they're up in the ante, from whether it is the boss design getting even better, even more crazy, even more lumped together, or even more colorful, or there's even more emotional stake. Like they just continue to up the ante. It's great.
Sorry, you said ante, and all I can think about is Blodge.
My number 5 is mouthwashing. I played this last week and really, really loved it. And by loved it, I mean hated every second of it. It is a very disturbing game. I don't think that I can easily recommend this to everybody, but if you're interested in something that's definitely going to stick with you and is going to kind of push the boundaries of what you might be comfortable experiencing in a video game, I think it's definitely profound and hard pressed to find a game that is going to hit you as hard as mouthwashing does, in my opinion, personally. And I think it's a testament to how special video games are. I think that the story is really interesting, told in a nonlinear fashion, and has characters that are all very distinct, have their lovable aspects, have their very hateable aspects, of course. But putting you behind the sticks, or in this case, the mouse and keyboard, and forcing you into these situations and doing things that you don't want to do and pushing forward so you have to see the next story bit. And having that feeling just be so difficult to be like, I don't want to do this. And like, I think you only get that feeling from video games, like where like watching this story play out in a movie, I think would be interesting and make a decent film, but it's special as a video game. So mouthwashing is my number 5.
You gotta take responsibility, dude.
Yeah, it's excellent. The way that the story is told too, narratively, and the way it bounces around, like, this, for me, the way that I like sat down and was like, what is this giving me? And I was like, Black Mirror Nolan. Like, that's what it felt like to me, where it's like this, the way that they, the direction is really interesting, and the way that the story is deeply, like, whoa, profound, and trying to really make the player go and have something that resonates with them. The reason that it's not on my list, and I told Brady this, and I told you this after I finished it up, was I don't think that this one's going to sit with me as long as something like Silent Hill 2 or some other titles that like really, and when the goal of the game I feel like is to emotionally resonate with you and to not have that connection, I was like, I just can't give it a nod, but I understand that it resonated with both of you, and that's fucking rad.
I do think it helps that I knew nothing about this game going into it.
Yeah.
I didn't know what genre it was. I didn't know how it looked. I didn't know anything. I just heard that it was 2 hours and that it was great. And I was like, I'll check it out.
I pulled it up on Steam, and then I saw psychological horror, and I was like, okay, we're doing this.
I didn't even look at that. I just hit download and hit start. And I wish that I could do that with more things. And I do think that probably affects my overall opinion on it, because like it, not even knowing what you were getting yourself into and then it being what it is, like it kind of makes it hit harder, I imagine. But yeah, I the PS1 art style, man, can't we just get more games with interesting art styles? Like at the very least, like this game like has such an identity to it, where it's like you see an image of that, you're like, that's mouthwashing. It's like very cool.
Do not play this game from 1 till 3 in the morning. That's because guess what? You're gonna be up till 4 a.m.
Oh, were you really scared by it?
Oh, I wasn't like fully spooked by it, but it's such a atmospheric, gripping game. And for me, it's so interesting too. I like playing games on the couch for a multitude of reasons, but one of them I truly believe is when I'm playing on the computer, it is very immersive. Like you are so close to that screen that you have the earbuds in, you're dialed in, and so to like go and like take out both the earbuds and just be like, holy shit, dude. Like, that was a lot. I was like...
Yeah, I put my phone in the other room, locked in. Just sat there for 2 hours straight and went.
I shout out to the Discord, too. I was like, I just need to talk. And, like, a couple other people had already beaten it, and they were like, fuck yeah, dude. And I'm like, yeah, this was a great time.
Yeah, I'm glad I played it at like 10 in the morning and not at night. Yeah, especially that beginning. Like I said, I saw psychological horror, and then I started out, and it's like that PTSD moment at the beginning. I'm like, oh, so this is what we're doing. Yeah, this is what we're doing right now.
Unbelievable.
So now we're going 5. 5 for Brady.
For me, yeah.
We're at the top 5 of the 2024 Game of the Year pod, dude. We're like 40 minutes in, 50 minutes in. Yeah, 50.
Yeah, it's weird to not be able to check the time. I always check the time when we're doing podcasts because I want it to be long.
Yeah.
Like I want.
This is gonna be long.
But we'll go however long we need to go. Like,
Yeah.
That's how I always will handle podcast timing or whatever. Like I'm not going to stretch something out arbitrarily, but I'm also not going to like make it fit into a certain window.
I also feel like the casual gaming conversation is what it like. We're just talking. This is supposed to be the Yap Fest podcast that we have on our lineup and everything, and then hopefully casual gaming news. We haven't shot that yet, which is interesting because this will come out after the fact.
Friday.
We'll shoot that in 2 days. It's really funny talking to people in the Discord, and I don't think anyone's connected it yet. I've talked about like us pre-shooting things at least 10 times where I'm like, and like, I don't think that people have like connected being like, oh, they're pre-shooting like a lot of stuff. Wait, they already pre-shot the TikToks late and the podcast for the next week. Why are they pre-shooting 8 more times? Like, there's so much stuff, but that's been recollecting in the co-op pod.
Yeah.
But my
Brady.
number 5 is a game we already talked about. It's Animal Well. Animal, I love it. It's the perfect Switch game. Connor talked about it and praised it a lot, and I think you hit all the points. It's very atmospheric. I love the art style, the music, the sound design is great. The whale noises, Nick hit on the head. There you go. Yeah, it's the perfect Switch game. Playing it on that airplane where I was like stuck at this one moment where you're like trying to get away from somebody while also doing these puzzles.
Did you ask me to like look something up on my phone because I have T-Mobile and you were like, can you look this up? And
you were like,
get
what
free
point?
Wi-Fi.
Yeah. I was like,
plane.
where on the map do I need to go for this? And yeah, I had you look it up for me. But I remember
awesome.
I was like trying to do it for like a solid hour, and I finally got it. And I'm sitting next to you on the airplane. I'm like, I got it.
And then I'm just passed out in the airplane.
Just
and then
mouth
that
agape.
photo.
No major spoilers here, but that fucking dog, dude. That dog section is so difficult.
And that's what I was talking about,
stressful and scary, dude.
Yeah. It's so good. I felt so accomplished when I beat that game. And the ending it leaves a lot to think about, but I kind of like that because
And I imagine we both got the same ending. There's like other endings.
Really?
Oh, really?
Oh shit! I didn't even know
It depends
that.
on like how much you get and
Right,
everything, and certain unlocks or
Oh
whatever.
yeah, because I got other tools to use, and you were like, I didn't even get.
There's certain
that.
tools that I don't even have.
Yeah.
Which is
And
crazy.
I was like, that's crazy. I don't know how you did it without having those. But yeah, Animal Well. If you haven't played it, you should play it. What a fucking great game.
Nick, number 5.
My number 5 is something that I've talked a lot about on this podcast. During the Mulligan episode, I was like, yep, it's time. This is a masterpiece. It is Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree. It's my number 5.
Oh shit.
I
had it way higher.
Yeah, this is my top 4 has always been my top 4. Will always be my top 4 this year. Neva and Erd Tree went back and forth on my list quite a bit. Shadow of the Erd Tree was one of those journeys that I will never forget in my video game life. Elden Ring this year completely took over my life. It was my most hour played game by quite a bit. And Erd Tree was obviously a large contributing factor as this DLC, this downloadable content took me 30-something hours to beat. This is not just longer than some games. This is clearly and definitively better than a majority of games. And it's not just because it's Elden Ring. The way that this game allows you, and I know it's DLC, but I almost need to talk about it as its own game because when I think about Elden Ring, I think about the map in Elden Ring and starting out in Limgrave and then going on this grand adventure. Whereas this map, in the way that it is designed, is just masterful. I don't know if level design has ever been as good as it is in Shadow of the Erd Tree. Not in Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erd Tree. It's great in Elden Ring. It is phenomenal in Shadow of the Erd Tree. The way that you in Elden Ring can just go and fight and grind to go and level up is completely flipped on its head in this game, where it is now, hey, if you want to level up, explore. That is it. Completely changing the core mechanic of the game is for RPGs is putting things into your health and stamina bar and powering up your arcane. This says, if you want to do that, go over there compared to fight things. That is a completely new mechanic compared to base Elden Ring, and it's as good and feels as satisfying as defeating a boss to go and get the runes, to go and upgrade. It's like, okay, I'm going to go over there and get a Skadoo Tree fragment that is going to boost up my character and like is fucking awesome. Whenever I would see these golden posts with the circles around it, I don't know what they're called, but I assume that there's some convoluted history lesson that Elden Ring would try to teach me, but I have no idea what they're called. And I'm like, oh, there's going to be a altering like area or an altar area that has a power up for me. I'm like, this is video games. This is what it's all about. And I was able to talk about this for like 5 or 6 minutes and just ramble. I know it's not on either of your list. Neither of you guys got to this one. But like, I didn't even mention the bosses yet. Like, the bosses in this game are some of the greatest boss fights ever. One of them is, in my opinion, the best boss fight in video games. Elden Ring base game has a lot of terrific bosses, has a lot of fun bosses. But like, I was like, yeah, I beat base Elden Ring and I'm like, nothing touches FF16's boss fights. Nothing comes close to how grandiose 2 of those boss fights are in FF16 from last year, which I claimed on this podcast at the end of the year. I was like, the reason that FF16 was my game of the year last year was the boss fights, or they took it to that next level over something as artful as Alan Wake 2. The boss, like Mesmer, who is in the trailer, so it's not like a spoiler, is the best boss fight I've ever had. That flow state, that dance is something that I understand is in Souls games, and like I beat Elden Ring. Like, I went through that dance before in Elden Ring. That dance is never so satisfying as it is against Mesmer the Impaler. It is fucking terrific. Shadow Tree could easily be anyone's game of the year. I would not scoff at it. I would not laugh at it. I understand that at the Game Awards it was a big discussion whether it should be nominated. I'm in the boat that, like, yeah, if the rules were that DLCs shouldn't be nominated, they shouldn't be. Then let's not have the conversation. But the fact that they are allowed, I felt like it is mandatory for the jury selection process to go and put that on there. Otherwise, they're not doing their due diligence. They're not doing their job. And so I adore this game. I think that obviously Elden Ring is arguably the greatest game of all time. I think that Erdtree adds so much to that game. I cannot wait to see what this team does next with Night Rain. I'm super excited about it. I don't expect it to be nearly as good. I don't like Erdtree. I was like, if I beat it this year, probably will make my top 10. I don't expect Night Rain to do it next year and like to be on this list. Maybe it will be. Maybe we have a blast with it and everything. But I do expect to talk about this for a very long time. Shadow Erdtree at my number 5.
I believe you. I'm never gonna play it.
Well,
we might have to. You might have to, buddy. Oh, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Are we moving on to Brady's number 4?
No, you're number 4.
Yeah, you go.
Oh yeah, it's my. Oh yeah. Okay, my number 4. Holy shit, we're here, everyone.
Welcome to the show.
I knew, by the way, I did some math about the issue that we have with the tie. Immediately, right when I heard that 8 was that magic number, I knew exactly where Brady put this game because of it. My number 4 is Tekken 8. Tekken 8 was a game that I really believed for a very long time was going to be my number 2 this year, arguably number 3. Maybe number 3. The fact that it got boosted down to number 4, I knew for a fact that we got some bangers left on the top end of this list. Tekken 8 is one of my favorite games ever. Clive in Tekken 8 is arguably the most happy I've ever been watching a trailer in my entire life. From a mechanic standpoint, I am very clearly bad at this game. I am not good at Tekken 8. I'm a better Mortal Kombat player than I am a Tekken player, but like quite a bit, actually. Like, I'm like pretty decent at Mortal Kombat. Tekken 8, I suck. I am not good at this game. I download Clive. I'm getting excited. I eat some mac and cheese. I sit down and I get 0-11. I didn't win I won a couple rounds. I didn't win a single match, and I loved every second of it. I think that this game is what, like, when we're talking about perfect game design and everything, something like a Blotch or something like a Tetris, when it comes to fighting games and how well balanced and how good it feels to go and be like, all right, it is you versus another person, and it feels more like tactile than even a shooter does. It's brilliant. This is going to be one of my favorite games for a very long time. I'm excited to play more Tekken 8. I'm probably going to play more Tekken 8 this week. Like, every single week, I would just notice myself being like, all right, it's 1 a.m., it's midnight, I should probably go to bed. Let's just get like 3 or 4 games of Tekken in real quick. And that feeling has not left since January. Whereas something like The Lost Crown that was a little bit lower on my list, I'm like, I forget about the story there. I like enjoyed it, but it didn't stick with me as much as some other titles. Tekken 8 January, I was like, yep, this is one of my favorite games ever. I am shocked that it's not higher on this list because once again, I couldn't put it higher on this list. There are other games that I fucking adore so much that I would love to go and shout out and will be shouting out. But Tekken 8 at my number 4, brilliant game.
Brady, number 4. What do we got?
Number 4. Does anyone want to take a guess?
Final Fantasy
Rebirth.
It is Rebirth. Yeah. Yep. I love Rebirth, and it was a little higher on my list at first, and I think it was just because I was like trying to be I was trying to be on the same boat as you guys, but then I thought more realistic about it, and I was like thinking about all the other games I played, and I was like, I just got to be honest with myself. I loved Rebirth. It took me half a year to beat it, but I really enjoyed it. The characters are what really do it for me, dude.
Yeah.
And the whole gang, getting them together, you fall in love with every single character, and the whole story is just an emotional roller coaster, and I really enjoyed it. And yeah,
Not on my list.
I'm sure we will talk much more about it upcoming. So yeah, we'll get into it.
Connor, number 4.
My number 4 is Balatro.
Whoa!
I was big on this game when it first came out. I've been locked into it for the better part of half a year now. Absolutely adore this game. Just one of the most satisfying games ever created. Just really scratches that itch of just seeing that number go burr. You just absolutely love it, dude. Figuring out new ways to handle different blinds and new decks to kind of build out. Like, it's just a blast. And Brady kind of has already went over it, but Nick went over it already.
Yeah.
Where I will play this game for the rest of my life. And we've kind of talked about that ad nauseum on the podcast for like the last 6 months, 8 months, or whatever, however long it's been. But I think Balatro is a special game. I do think that because of the way that I played it, like I played it for like 2 months straight, and then I've just not returned to it at all. Except I played it a little bit when it came to mobile, but it's something that I know that you know how people like have their like yearly Skyrim binge or yearly Minecraft binge. It's like I'm gonna go through my yearly Balatro binge like at some point. So I just know it's gonna come back around, just like Tetris comes back around for me, where I'm just like, okay, time to get addicted to Tetris again.
That's one of those. You're gonna ask me. It's gonna be 2025 around July. We're gonna be hanging out. And you're gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna be like, yeah, we're doing the thermometer for co-op day 2026, and you're gonna be like, I'm like, we need just something to fill in like a gap between two major milestones. And you're like, throw on like me playing Balatro for 12 hours or something. Like that's gonna be the conversation because it's one of those guarantees in your life that you're gonna enjoy for a very long time.
And I also didn't get like that crazy with it and like min-maxing things and looking up strategies in the way that other people have. Like I just played this game like in the dark and just kind of enjoyed it for what it was. Like, but then I hear other people talk about it. I'm like, do we even play the same game?
Don't at
like,
me,
yeah,
I'm literally looking up strategies.
Yeah, the way that you're talking about it, I'm like, I didn't play it like that. I just like I was making straights and flushes. Yeah, straights and flushes, and it was 2 pair. Like that's the way to go. It's like okay, yeah, great, awesome. So maybe I'm just playing the game wrong, but yeah, super fun game. Love me some Balatro. My number 3 is Astrobot.
Yep.
What a lovely little platformer. Just like one of. It's a game that I think a lot of people were surprised by, and when it got announced after having played Playroom at the start of the PS5, it was like, this game's going to be fucking excellent, like, obviously. And then it comes out and, it's fucking excellent. Yeah. And it's even better than I thought it was going to be. Just so much charm in its design of each level, and its like uniqueness in the enemies and the stages. I think that it doesn't rely too heavily on the nostalgia of collecting the PlayStation bots. I think it is an additive to the overall experience, but where it is really unique, I still think it shines quite a bit in the music, in the level design.
Bad music.
Music's fantastic. And then when it comes to the different mechanics of your abilities and how it mixes and matches them and throws one at you, and then midway through the level will do a different one in certain levels and change the entire way that you're kind of interacting with the environment is super impressive. I love Astrobot. I need to get back to that final holiday level that I heard has some pretty cool, interesting bots in it. I would like full-on DLC for this game. I think we're gonna get it. I'll put my prediction out now that I think that we will get a full DLC for Astrobot.
We're doing predictions like in a week on the casual gaming conversation. Come on.
But there you go. I think we will get more Astrobot for DLC, and I think we will get a full-on sequel. Of course, I think this is just the start for Team Asobi, and it deserved Game of the Year at the Game Awards for sure. Can totally understand that. So yeah,
this is the moment where we need to just remind the audience these are all personal lists. This isn't like Connor gave Astrobot a 10. The other games on his list, it's only 10 you gave this year. So like,
I didn't review Balatro, but I would.
You would also give. You said that you would give that a 10. But that doesn't mean that the best easy 10 makes it automatically to our number one. This is a conversation of like, what is a 9.5 that it like blows your fucking mind compared to a 10 that just makes you smile nonstop or something like that.
They're trying to do different things. Other games have voice acting and characters to fall in love with. Astrobot is a great, interesting, cute character, but he's not making me cry.
I will say, well, we'll talk about it in a bit.
Number 3, Brady.
Number 3 is also Astrobot.
Nice.
Yeah, Astrobot. You hit the nail on the head. I agree with everything you said. The only thing I'll say is I don't need antidepressants anymore. I have Astrobot. like Astrobot is such a joy. There's not much more to say than what you said. The music is fantastic. That God of War level music is just stuck in my head, and I loved every second of it.
Yeah, it's just every single time it throws like a new level at you, you're just like, you're like, this is so cool. Like a tree, just a talking, rapping tree.
Dude, the tree, the fucking tree.
Yeah. And the games that they decided to really highlight with like specific levels, it's like, really? This one?
Oh,
but
dude.
I'm glad they went there, but they went there.
Super it's cool. so good.
What do you got, Nick?
Yeah, my number 3 is Metaphor Refantasio. A game that, once again, neither of you guys, Connor didn't complete this year. Brady has no interest in this game. One day, Brady. This is, or like I could put this at my number 1 and be a very happy man. The characters in this game are arguably the best characters this year when it comes to the best cast. And that is a ridiculous statement when it's arguable over compared to something like Rebirth. That it's just a ridiculous, like, to be in the same conversation as something that I put up as the greatest cast in any media ever is a ridiculous statement. But I've heard so many people talk through their game of the year stuff and end of the year stuff, and the coolest part is like, some teams are like, oh, the relationship with this person is like the best relationship, or this awakening is the best awakening, or this moment's the best moment, or this quest line is the best quest line. And the fact that it is different for every single team and it is not a clear and obvious winner of performance or moment is insane. The scenes in this game, the highs and the lows, the music, the combat, just this is a team at the top of their game. I know that this is going to be a classic moment where you're just like, what the fuck is this man saying? And I understand it. But this game reminds me of Alicia Keys and Jack White getting in the studio to do their Bond theme song. And that song just fucking shreds. And I can only imagine that those two artists, when they were in the studio, they were creating that song and were like, this is fucking unbelievable. This shit is awesome. I imagine that this team over at Alice was like the same way, that they're like, we are fucking cooking right now. This is the best shit. Like, I can't imagine like them doing like certain set piece and dungeon designs. I don't think the dungeons in this game are phenomenal. As someone that's played through a few Persona 5 dungeons, I almost prefer some of those dungeon layouts in P5. But like, the set piece moments for a turn-based game to have like clear set piece moments compared to like older turn-based and some things that are less spectacle than this. I was on the edge of my seat through the entire story, through every single bond that you go and create, all 8 levels of the ranking system. I was so excited to see what was next during these days. The fact that it used half your day like for each bond in the same way that going into a dungeon would take a full day. I noticed often. I was like, give me the narrative, give me the characters more than give me the XP. And surely enough, that fucked over myself quite a bit as we were speeding through this game trying to beat it for GOTY season. I did not beat it for the Game Awards, but I beat it after the fact. And from boss design, from level design, from character design. Some of the most impactful moments I've ever had in gaming. I say it pretty often. I reserve 9.5s for games that I understand how somebody can go and give it that masterpiece score. For me, it's not a masterpiece. It's 9.5. It's damn close. Like I said, some of the level design just loses me a little bit. Some of the pacing, where like the counter system gives you 20 days. I'm like, we could do 10 days here. Or there's moments where it gives you 10 days and then the next one's 20. I'm like, we could have done 15 and 15, stuff like that.
I'm curious where I end up landing on this game. I played 25 hours of it. I've not gotten back to it since before.
Like October,
Awards,
yeah.
No,
November.
I played it well into November. And I think the pacing in the first bit of this game is not good.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's really hard to get into. And then I think it finally gets its footing and gets the ball rolling a little bit more. But because of that early pacing, it just really never locked in the way that I really wanted to with this game. But I can see myself doing what I did with Persona 5 and like sitting back down, getting back into the swing of things, and then getting addicted again.
It's one of those games that you have to know life. And I remember so vividly writing my top 10 most anticipated for the rest of your list. And I had it on my number 9 because I said there's no world where I get to this game. Like I'm excited for it.
It's my number 1.
Yeah, there's just not a chance.
Sucks because there's no shot.
But even when you said it, you were like, this is my number 1. I'm really looking forward to it. There's a chance I just don't get to complete it this year because there's so many games and the busy season kicks up right when this game released and everything. But to go on this journey, I love good characters in gaming. That's like a huge thing for me. I love narrative. I love score. But like the combat, that is now the final point I'll make on this is every single time. Turn-based combat in 2024, what are we doing here? You'll see a dope-ass game, get a trailer, and then you'll see it's turn-based, and then you'll just be like, shit. Like, me and Brady have had moments on reactions where we don't say anything. We're like, look over at each other when we see it's turn-based, and like we're just like, a vivid, like clearly less excited. Like that, it takes the wind out of the sails a little bit. But when you have this good of turn-based combat, I kept on saying often as I'm going through the early parts of this game when I was up late with Matt or I'm streaming and Goops and other people on the chat, or I'm like, we're JRPGing right now. Like as we're going through some of these systems, man, it's so good. The archetype system, phenomenal. So well done. I can't the archetype system, for those who don't know, is like your power system. So you can go and decide, I'm going to make this person the healer now, or I'm going to make this person the mage now, and to go and have this like through line of trying to level up and strategize. It is so fucking good. The way that Balatro makes you think with the number go up and everything, and like that satisfying moment of like just like getting better and everything as you continue on through those blinds is done within the JRPG systems in Metaphor. Once again, easily could be my number 1. I beat this game. I sat down. I looked at the screen. I just like saw the artwork and I fucking bawled because I was so sad that the adventure was over. Even right now, tearing up a little bit, being like, I want to like just get back with my friends. You know, like the characters in this game are so good. There are 2 characters that I'm like, one of them has arguably the best end moment with their bond system being like, oh, like I'm now your family. Like we've gone from like friends to family, and as someone that loves Fast and Furious, it's all about family. And then the other one that I've brought up many times is I have, as someone that's grown up in the church, is a religious man and everything. I don't know if I've seen a game better handle a religion as just a broad topic as the bond system with one character does, where like religious radicalism, it can be very dangerous, and like but also keeping an open mind is really important and all this stuff. I'm like, this is like a lot of my like theology when it comes to religion, and like is shown here, where it's like, be respectful, be kind to others, like have an open mind, but also like understand that religion and any large topic, anything can be very dangerous. The way this game handles politics, fucking phenomenal. Like I think every theme that they're trying to do is very on the nose, but it's terrific. And then the last thing that I'll say, the theming of the importance of media and the importance of the worlds that we get to travel to within video games and the lasting impact that the games can have. This game does it, but it also has the narrative of pushing that even further. the way that this game closes out is one of the most emotional moments, and it's not anything to do with any character except the player. It is so fucking good. Metaphor ReFantazio is easily one of the best games this year. If you have any interest in it, play it, enjoy it, and have your mind fucking blown.
You're up again.
Yeah.
My number 2 is Astrobot.
Okay.
Cool.
We can talk a little bit less about this one. Going back to it, I played the speedrun levels, playing the Christmas level. I was like, yep, this is my number 2. This game is a masterpiece. It is one of the best games ever. It is one of my 9, 10 out of 10s. I'm an emotional man, as we've learned. There were certain sound cues and levels that did draw tears out of my eyes.
Makes you feel like a kid.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, let's just dial it back. Like, I remember the first time I ever got excited about a game was Connor's excitement just like brushing off on me about Uncharted 2. Like, and just like being like, this is gonna be video games in our lifetime. Like, look at these graphics, look at this gameplay, look at this fucking train, dude. Like, and I'm just like, yeah, this is gonna be fucking awesome. And then to go and play that as like a 10-year-old, and to have these emotions and sound cues and everything come back in some sort of way where it's like, they fucking did it. Like, I can't believe how good this game is. And sure, I'm like, why isn't X, Y, or Z character in this game? And I'm waiting for certain things.
Did you hear what the developer said on stage?
Yeah. He was like, thanks for everyone for giving all of your games for free, like, and your characters for free. It seems that a certain company did not. They wanted a little check, and they were like, we're not going to give it to you. Everyone else is doing it for free. But yeah, I think that this game is fucking awesome. It is. Shout out to my buddy Santiago, who was like, I picked up a PS5, I got The Last of Us, and I got Astrobot. And I'm like, dude, can you imagine? Can you fucking imagine starting out your PS5, your PlayStation journey with those two things? I think that this is the ultimate PlayStation history lesson. I think that the excitement of collecting each bot is just gameplay magic, where it's like the regular bots are fun. Like, you're still having a good time collecting these bots, but when you all of a sudden see X, Y, or Z character that it goes and hits a nostalgic level for you, you're like, fuck yeah. The last level in this game is just all PlayStation love. The emotions that this game has, the fucking credit rolls, if the credits are phenomenal. I've never said that to any game ever, that the credits are phenomenal. The music, sound design, the sound design in this game, that's the last thing I'll say on this before because this is the last note for all three of us on this game, is the sound design in this game. Whether you are gliding on ice, whether you are running through gems or bells or whatever, the power up with the frog, when you're swinging in like, it is perfection. Like, I don't know if there's a game that does better audio design than this game. Like, I can only imagine the Foley artists in this building having the fucking time of their life, being like, we cooked. Like, we did the damn thing. The audio design's phenomenal. Astrobot's phenomenal. It is a masterpiece. It is damn close to my number 1 this year. But it is not my number 1.
Brady, number 2. What do we got?
My number 2, and I've quickly realized that this isn't even in Nick's top 10,
Yeah.
and it's very upsetting. My top 3 moved around a lot, and this was at number 1 for a while, but it bumped down to number 2 for obvious reasons, which we'll get into later. But my number 2 is Silent Hill 2 Remake. What a great game. I mean, just an atmospheric nightmare.
Yep.
The puzzles are great, a little drawn out, but just overall super enjoyable. The characters you fall in love with, the ending, it was fantastic. The one I got, I really enjoyed, but I know there's multiple endings. I think, did we all get the same one?
No,
You guys got the
we
same
got
one.
the same
We
one.
got the same.
I got a different one.
Nice,
Yep.
yeah, but no. I'm curious to see if this is at Connor's number 2 or number
1.
Silent Hill 2 is my number 2 game.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Silent Hill 2 is excellent. One of the shocks of the year that a lot of people thought this game was going to suck because it's Bloober Team and they delivered the goods. And I think they should make more remakes in the future going forward. I think this is kind of Bloober's calling is to be involved with Silent Hill going forward. But I've never played the original. This was my first time experiencing the Silent Hill 2 story, a game that is well beloved and considered one of the greatest games of all time by many. And getting to experience it in this way with this level of voice acting and performance, as well as this high level of visuals and atmosphere, just brings the whole experience to the next level. When it comes to playing this game for the first time, I talk about like kind of feeling like you're a kid again when it comes to like playing Astrobot or something like that. But when it comes to this, it was like that feeling of like being at school and all you can think about is playing the game and getting home to get on Call of Duty with your friends and like being really excited to get back and play The Last of Us or whatever. And like for me with Silent Hill 2, it was that feeling again of just like thinking about it when I'm not playing it, wanting to be doing anything, not wanting to be doing anything else but playing Silent Hill 2. I have an hour here. I'm going to be filling that hour with Silent Hill 2, staying up late, pushing through the nightmare, pushing into the darkness as James Sunderland. I think this has maybe the best soundtrack of the year. People like when we've done soundtracks before for top 10 soundtracks, it's been in the top 2 or three,
one
or
it's number one
yeah,
often
on a lot of lists. And yeah, it's there. Like I think in the quieter moments it has that atmospheric like kind of in the background soundtrack that just fucks with you. And then in certain cutscenes with the piano, like it's just like, damn, dude, like just really they cook with the soundtrack. I think James Sunderland is one of the greatest characters in video game history, and that's not because he's great. He's just a guy, and I think that's what makes him really interesting, with clear demons that he's fighting with. So yeah, I love Silent Hill 2, and I wish I could play it again, and I plan on playing it again, but because of so many releases, it's something that I couldn't jump back into. But this is one of those games that like when it comes to platinums, there's like easy platinums where it's just like, yeah, you might as well, like Spider-Man 2. It's like it's right there.
Yeah.
You just clear the map. It doesn't take that long. And there's games that I don't know how hard the platinum is in Silent Hill 2, but it's just like I just want to show this game the love that it deserves and experience everything that it has to offer, and spend more time with it. And going for the platinum in Silent Hill 2 will be that kind of experience for me that I hope to get to. All right, number 1.
Yeah.
What could it be?
Brady, or not Brady. Connor, what's your number 1?
My game of the year is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Shocker, I know. This was kind of a foregone conclusion the first time I played this, and then I played it again, platinuming it. I've experienced every inch of this game. 207 hours later, like I think I know this game more intimately than like anybody can possibly know it.
Yeah.
So all the areas that you can nitpick it and pull things apart, like I would have seen to the highest degree. And I think there are things that you can point out for sure, but for the package that it is and what it has to offer, I think there is very few games that are as robust as this is, as focused on just single player enjoyment and open worlds that feel tailored to the player's enjoyment, and finding a way to string the player along to feel like they're always doing something important, even in the side content. The side missions are excellently written, like the main side missions are excellently written. The open world activities are all strung together in a way that make you want to do every single last one of them, because you're constantly getting rewarded by not only just like checking certain boxes, but getting more of that amazing gameplay that you're there for. The character moments, there was moments where Laura and I played this on the couch together. Like she loved watching Final Fantasy VII remake and loves the characters and everything. And we were going through this journey together. And there was multiple moments where like I would look over and like, this game, dude, like it's just so good. And every character gets a moment to shine in their different ways. And I think that I like Final Fantasy VII Original. It's a good game. It's my second least favorite Final Fantasy, but that's just really a testament to how good Final Fantasy is in general.
Behind 15?
Yeah, 15 is my least favorite, and I don't even think that game's game's bad. But and then 7 Remake is a game that I love, but I'm not where Nick is, and Rebirth is where it's really kind of come all together for me, where it's just like the mini games, the characters, the side content, Queen's Blood, like. Oh, it's so good, man. And I played 207 hours of this game. If I had the option to play 207 more, I would. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. It's one of my favorite games of all time now. I think that anybody who loves video games should play Remake and then Rebirth. So,
I agree. Do you want to? You share his number 1, so you want to yab it up a little bit?
No, my number one's Silent Hill 2. No, yeah, sure. Yeah, my number one's FF7 Rebirth. It is my favorite game ever. I don't want to talk too much about it because we all know how this goes. Every single time I will get emotional. But to go and start out this journey for it to kick in right where Remake leaves off. Remake is like for a long time was arguably my favorite game ever. I battled between that and The Last of Us for a very long time. So this game kicks off and immediately I'm just a puddle of like just straight up tears. And it's really interesting. I knew how this game started out. There was previews and people were like the previews. You
played the demo, right?
Oh yeah, I played the demo. And so I'm like, I know how this game starts out. And there's something there that is not in that demo, and I'm just like, let's fucking go, dude. Are
that
you
first moment,
kidding?
I literally started clapping. I was like, no way they did this.
And then the fucking ba da 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 kicks on. Rebirth goes up, and I'm like, game of the year. And then and I haven't fucking played a moment of gameplay. My entire time with Rebirth was the fear of a really great band's first album. It's like the second album can't be better than this, man. Like it just can't do it better. Remake thankfully had like clear holes to poke in it, being like, yeah, going to those sewers suck. There's some slow ass moments in FF7 Remake for sure, but this game goes and cleans up a lot of that. It keeps it a lot more focused on every single moment you are doing something that is trying to either further characters, further the narrative, or have gameplay fun. Like it is a perfect mix of those things. I think that this game is clearly not even it should be in the conversation of one of the best open world games of all time. It should be up there with Ghost and Elden Ring. Like I know that that's a wild sentence, but and I'm not saying it's better than Elden Ring, but it's up there. It's on that top 10 list. It is a well-deserving game to be discussed as this is one of the greatest games fucking ever. Final Fantasy VII Remake was one of my favorite games. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is my favorite game. I beat this. I have secretly been going back and playing it. I did not platinum it. I have not gone there, but the hard.
How far?
I'm on chapter 8.
Nice.
It's just been in the background.
On hard mode?
Yeah, on hard mode. It is
hard.
It is. Hey Connor, guess what? It's fucking hard.
I mean, dude, it was hard for me.
Is it harder than? Is it harder? Has there been moments where you felt like it was harder than Elden Ring?
No.
Okay.
No, it's been close.
We'll see. I don't think you're at the boss fight where it really turned up for me. Where I was like, oh fuck.
I'm at 7 or 8. I'm not. I haven't gone to Barrett yet.
Okay, yeah. Final boss in that section is hard.
Yeah.
But that's not the one I'm talking about. But
yeah.
Okay.
This is my favorite game ever. I fucking love this shit.
Can't wait for the remake.
I can't wait for the remake. This is why I play video games. This game is why I love video games. I know that is wild. 2 years in a row to give a Final Fantasy game my game of the year, my personal. But the team over at Square right now, and obviously separate teams. I know Creative Business Unit 3 is doing their own thing, but I think that just this is video games to me. Music, character, score, combat, just every single thing that I could want in video games is phenomenal. And then the last thing I'm going to shout out is this needs to be studied. How hard they cooked. Well, now I was going to go one area. I now have 2 points. Sorry. How hard they cooked with the active time battle system and the way that everything works seamlessly. And the fact that in Remake, you're not juggling a lot of characters. The fact that the roster gets so much bigger and you now have so many different options to go through this game and get excited is so fucking good. The last thing, though, soundtrack, unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
Unfucking believable. It is the greatest video game soundtrack ever. That is something that I think that needs to be pointed to more often when we're talking about the greatness of this video game, that this is the greatest soundtrack ever. Silent Hill 2 soundtrack, unfucking believable. Unbelievable. The last song that plays is the credit rolls and everything, and that, I don't know if it's a piano note or a guitar note, but you're just, Silent Hill 2, baby, let's go. It dog walks it. It is not close. It's not in the same conversation.
It's in the same conversation.
I don't think it's the same conversation. I think that we're a lot of it becomes just about the amount of greatness that is being displayed. We're talking about hey, Name it, Weezer, Blue. It's a fucking great album, one of the greatest albums ever. And then we have the entire Beatles catalog over here, basically with the Rebirth. Like it's like that's a really great, phenomenal album. We have the entire fucking just longevity of 400 tracks of just like the best shit ever. There are so many different songs in here that I'm like, this is the fucking GOAT. And sure, it doesn't have my favorite One Winged Angel version, but the One Winged Angel version in this fucking slaps. The way that they're just like casually also being like, yeah, you can play Tifa's theme on piano. Good luck not crying. It's just like the way that this game utilizes music, it needs to be studied. It's my number one. I kind of like this game a bit.
There's only been 2 times, like you said, you don't try to hit anybody with you haven't seen anything yet. And one was the Stellar Blade bosses, and then I was playing Remake, and there was just a great like funky bass line. I was like, oh, the music in Remake is so good. And you were playing Rebirth, and you were like, oh, buddy, you ain't seen shit yet.
Yeah, there's certain songs that are so well produced and so good, like that. Just
it's really funny going through Remake. I would say Remake's soundtrack, Those Who Fight Further, Still More Fighting, Airbuster Fight, favorite. It's in my top 5 favorite fights ever because of the soundtrack. And then you get the One Winged Angel version at the end, and I'm like, this is excellent. Like this is some of my favorite music ever. And then you get to Rebirth, and I'm like, it's almost like if they took those 2 songs, Cook level, and then they did it for the entire play length of the game, and they don't stop cooking. Unbelievable. Brady,
what's your number one?
You already know the answer to this. It's Balatro. Balatro a bust, dude. I'm not gonna lie. At first, this was at like my number 5. It was below Rebirth, and then I was like, Nick was like, you can put it above Rebirth, and I was like thinking about it. I was like, I'm not gonna lie to myself anymore. It's going above Rebirth, and then day by day, I just kept bumping it up, and I was like, and I had Silent Hill 2 above it for the longest time, and I was like, I'm gonna play this game for the rest of my life. Balatro is so fucking good, dude. I have to put it at number 1, and I had no shame. At first, I was like, it's such a simple game. It's just like a card game. Like I can't put it at my number 1. There's like not much depth to it. And then it was a goatee. It was a goat. Yeah, I know, but it doesn't bring out that emotion in me that a lot of video games do that I would love to have at my number 1. But dude, I'm gonna play this game the rest of my life. It got so many awards at GOTY, and I was like, it just justified it for me. I'm like, this is my game of the year. I fucking love this game so much.
Yeah, that's what I have at your number 1.
Yeah, dude, I'm gonna play this game the rest of my fucking life.
Real quick, if you asked me, as someone that knows you very well, one of your best friends, does this business with you, fucking spends way too much time with you, that if a just straight up gameplay centric game would ever be Brady Goodall's number 1, I would say you're batshit insane. We're talking about a man that's the number 1 game of all time is The Last of Us. Loves story, loves narrative, loves the core aspects of like a well written narrative. And Balatro just is gameplay. It is just gameplay, and for it to be your number 1, I think it's a huge testament to how good it is.
Huge into gambling, baby.
That's the biggest problem, honestly.
I'm going to run through predictions now. I think before we hop into this of what we predicted the other ones, but honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions real fast. I didn't get far enough into Metaphor to put it on my list. Shout out to Pokemon trading card game Pocket, just super fun. I'm still into it, not as into it as I was in that first month, but I'm still really enjoying it. Still doing the online battles, still opening packs constantly. But man, I've just peaked out on like the pull rate of certain cards that I still need. It's like I'm opening 3 packs a day because I have like the premium thing, and I don't think I've gotten a new card in like 2 weeks.
Damn.
Yeah.
We're just like, fuck, man. Like I would like. That's just how it goes though with card games, I imagine. And then shout out to Black Myth Wukong, which was at my 10 spot but got bumped off because of mouthwashing at the buzzer. So I think that game's super fun. The combat's really solid. It's a little bit long in the tooth, but the boss designs are excellent. Just super cool to look at and fight, and really focusing on that boss rush aspect is fun. But the areas in between those bosses I think are a little bit weak, but I think it's a great game. So Black Myth Wukong.
Do you have
in the list?
Do you have any honorables?
Honestly, I don't think so. Off the top of my head, there's a lot of like games, like I said, that I played that I really didn't want to be in my top 10. I have to say NCAA. Like that's so like I know it's just a football, but like they did it. They came back and they came back hard. Like that, they did it so well. It was so fun.
I wish the music was a little more better, but you can only listen to the drums for so long. But damn, it was a good game. What a fun stream this year too.
Oh man, super fun. For honorable mentions for me, I will say it now. Yeah, Silent Hill 2. Phenomenal game. It just one of the best atmospheres. Connor and Brady's eye roll can like cut the entire room. It's
we got to number
unbelievable.
5, and I was like, he doesn't have.
For me, it was that number 10 spot where like the entire time I did at one point not have the Lost Crown there, and I did have Silent Hill 2 there. I also at one point had Black Ops 6 there, and then at another one, Indiana Jones. So Silent Hill 2, I fucking really enjoyed this game. I understand that it's not in my top 10. I'm not saying that it's not a great game. Like, it is really special. It just did not crack that top 10 for me. I give it an 8.5. I think the game is great. At this point, I know this might sound like I'm not trying to disrespect this game. The ending is the thing that really is sticking with me. The gameplay aspects, not
I had
that
no
much.
problem with the game. You just we kind of went over this in the podcast for the review. Is like you just play the game in a different way than I think you're meant to be playing, which I don't think is necessarily like it on you. It's on the game for letting you do that, but I just don't know why you would do it that way of like just breaking the game, of just like jumping through windows and just constantly dodging back and forth or whatever just to not get hit, and like not just hitting things rather than using your guns and saving ammo and stuff. It's like I just play the game.
Well, that's what I'm doing. The game design is allowing me to go and the way like it is.
I just wouldn't think to do it that
but
way.
We're also talking.
You made the game boring for yourself, but the game does allow you to do it. So it's
well,
like whatever.
it's also
like, I guess
I'm coming hot off of all these Souls likes and everything, and so I'm in that dodge pattern and everything, and I'm like learning these legs dodge pattern, and I'm anyways, and then Indiana Jones, like we already discussed a little bit, unbelievable. Black Ops 6, I cannot believe that they fucking pulled it off. I cannot believe it. And we've already talked enough about it and everything, but one of the best moments this year is in the campaign. A lot of awesome moments throughout the entire campaign. I point to that one level, but like there are certain heists and moments. And as someone that played the Cold War campaign, like having certain characters come back, I was like, nice, like, cool, fun.
Right.
But yeah, and then the final shout out is a game that like I really did enjoy my time with, especially hell of a game to play on the Switch. Echoes of Wisdom. I really enjoyed Echoes of Wisdom this year.
You give it an 8.5?
I give it an 8.5. I think that it is.
Well, I guess
I have a lot of 8.5s. A lot of great games this year, but also I played a fuck ton of games this year.
Where's Hellblade 2?
Hellblade 2 is an 8.5, and I will stick in the fact that it's an 8.5 because it does things that no other game does. I do think that game is definitively at this point underrated. I think that like the way that it is discussed, in the same way that Hellblade 1 got discussed, where like Hellblade 1 comes out and everyone's like, it does X, Y, and Z excellently, but like it just does it fails in this aspect of combat for a lot of people. They pointed that. Even like looking at the new intro video for our starting screen and everything, and like seeing the Hellblade combat from Hellblade 1, I'm like, I really enjoyed the combat in Hellblade 1. I enjoyed the one-on-one. But then Hellblade 2, I think that it ups the ante with how visceral the combat is, and like slicing through with the sword, and like how it almost like tugs through a torso. I'm like, that is fucking intense. Holy shit. But yeah, I think Hellblade 2 is a rock solid game. And the last thing is like, what a year for gaming, dude. Like, just
I to be very good.
I think I was around like
2025 is gonna be even better.
30 something titles this year for new releases. I played.
I don't think I'm close to that.
Yeah, like once again, it is a cheat code for me when it comes to streaming, like to like get through certain things. But I also just the way I play games, I have an extra 4 or 5 hours of the night because some of my best gameplay sessions are 10 a.m. till 3 a.m. and that just helps out quite a bit, get through some of those lengthy games, and then also like Metaphor, getting through something like that because of me being batshit insane. I want to go through what we predicted for everyone before we get to the big topic. Connor, what did you think Brady's list was going to be?
I had 10 Neva, which he didn't even play. I thought he beat it.
Yeah.
Black Ops 6, Mouthwashing, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, Helldivers 2.
So you had Rebirth down his list quite a bit. Yeah.
Animal Well. I had Stellar Blade at 4, which I thought it could easily be 1.
Yeah. Same.
based off of how we talked about that. Astrobot, Silent Hill 2, and Balatro. So I got your top 3 spot on.
Yeah.
My top 10 for Brady, I nailed Tekken 8 at number 10, nailed Mouthwashing at number 9, Helldivers I had at 8, which was your 7, BO6 I had as your 7, which was your 8, Stellar Blade, nailed it. Then I had Rebirth. I was one slot off. Animal Well, I believe, was that area. Then I had Silent Hill 2. Then Animal Well. I thought that you were even higher on Animal Well. I had it at your number 3. And then Astrobot and Balatro. So Silent Hill 2 being your number 2, I was off only 2 slots on that. But I got all the games and got a decent amount of placements right. Brady, what did you have for Connor's top 10?
For Connors, the bottom's pretty interesting. I did have Mouthwashing right at number 8, but at number 10 I had Black Ops 6, which I now think about it, I don't think you've beaten the campaign yet. Which you can still throw it on.
Yeah, which wouldn't hold me back necessarily
Yeah.
because of the multiplayer. But
then number 9 I had The Lost Crown, and then Mouthwashing, and then Stellar Blade, Indiana Jones, Helldivers 2,
Helldivers 2 up there for him.
up there for Connor. 4 was Balatro. Which was that right?
Right. Yeah.
Right. And then I had Astrobot, which was right. And then the number 2 I had swapped. I took a risky bet and I put Rebirth at 2 and Silent Hill 2 at
That's
1.
fair.
So
I thought about it.
Because you were pretty high on Silent Hill 2.
For Connor, I had at number 10, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Number 9, Helldivers 2. Number 8, Stellar Blade. Number 7, Indiana Jones. Number 6, Animal Well. Number 5, Mouthwashing, which I got right for Mouthwashing.
Nice.
Number 4, Astrobot. I thought that you were going to be a little bit lower with your top 3 being Balatro. And then at your number 2, I also had Rebirth. And then at number 1, I had Silent Hill 2. Connor, here's the thing. It's odd because I'm very vocal about my love with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And I know that you fucking put in hundreds of hours when it comes to Rebirth. But you are, because I am so low on Silent Hill 2, you defend it so much more that it's just a little bit more in my mind when it comes to...
It was your Roman Empire for a while. Dude.
Yeah,
That's
it was
all you fucking
100%.
thought about.
All right, boys, what you got for me?
For Nick, I put at number 10 Helldivers 2, then Balatro, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, Black Ops 6, Neva, Tekken 8, Shadow of the Erdtree, Astrobot, Metaphor, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Did I get everything right?
No Black
the
Ops
games?
6.
Okay.
I had something else there. Did you got Erdtree in there?
Yeah.
What the heck did you not name?
What was your number 10 again?
Stellar Blade. You have Stellar Blade on there?
His number 10 was The Lost Crown.
I don't have Stellar Blade on there.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's just a mess up, honestly.
Yeah.
yeah, that's a goof. For Nick at number 10, I had Silent Hill 2. You idiot, you should put it on there. Then I had Stellar Blade.
You nailed that.
Yep. At 8, I had Balatro.
Nailed that.
And then Tekken 8.
Yeah, the Tekken 8 I was always top 4 for me.
Yeah, I should have put it a little higher. Number 6, I had Black Ops 6, which you didn't even put on there either. Number 5, Helldivers 2. Number 4 was Astrobot, where was Astrobot for you? 2. 2. Number 3, I had Metaphor.
Yep.
2, I had Erdtree. I had it way more up there.
Yeah, I thought that would be higher.
And then number 1 was Rebirth.
Erdtree's at my 5. It for me that top 4 was just when I am going to think of 2024, I'm going to think of those 4 games for Erdtree every single time.
All right. In this envelope, I have our top 10. Laura put this together, did all the math for us. If it was at the 10-point spot, it got 1 point. If it was at the 1-point spot, it got 10 points. And we have the final top 10 list for Co-op 64 in here. We do know that 10 through 7 was a 4-way tie. So we're going to debate that and decide as a company what is going to go into these.
And it's not
respective
Metaphor.
spots.
We listen and we don't judge.
Okay.
No matter what happens, I love you.
Yeah.
No matter what happens, I love you.
By the way, I this is a moment too to be like, these are all fucking awesome games.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
If something is
There's no
above
wrong
something, yeah,
answer.
Exactly. If Silent Hill 2 is number 1 somehow, who cares?
So 7 through 10 with 8 points. We have Metaphor ReFantasia, which Nick voted for. We have Tekken 8, which Brady and Nick voted for. We have Animal Well with me and Brady voting for, and Mouthwashing, which me and Brady voted for.
There's one correct answer here,
Here's what
and
I want to throw out there. I will throw Tekken 8 to the wolves. Okay, I'm fine.
Really?
I'm fine with that being number 10.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with it's Brady's 10. It's my 4. I would prefer.
I didn't vote for it, so
I
I'm
understand.
happy to vote.
I wanted to throw this out there though. There are one of those games I did play, Mouthwashing, and didn't play. So if you guys want that to be number 7 and we just put it at 7, totally fine with that.
That's what
I
can
would
live
prefer
with that.
mouthwashing over.
Well,
I
because
can't.
that makes sense. So
Animal-
here's the thing. I will make it easy on us and just Tekken. Let's throw it at 10.
Okay.
Tekken's a
is number
10.
That's the correct answer.
It's funny because you have it at your number 10,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
like that's easy for you. For me, I'm going to go to battle for Metaphor in this conversation. I think that Metaphor, if more people got to it, would obviously be not in this conversation. It wouldn't be in this
my issue
dance.
is that from what I've played, I'm not in love with it.
Do you think that it would
necessarily.
be in your top 10 if you got through it? If you just had to guesstimate?
Yeah, I would imagine, but based off of the 25 hours I played, it would be pretty low.
Well, once again, though, if it was even in your top 10, it's not even in this
Yeah,
conversation.
exactly.
Is part of it. Which, once again, I'm fine to have the conversation of like Tekken 8's at 10. That's locked in now. I think that that's an easy thing to do. I would prefer to put Metaphor
At 9.
in that 7 or 8 area, just not at 9.
The only tiebreaker here, though, is that Brady and I didn't vote for it
Yeah,
at
that's
all.
the thing.
Oh.
This is the only single person vote to be here
Yeah,
in this slot.
but that also means that one person had it higher than any other game that you guys voted for.
if I had my druthers,
Yep.
it would be Tekken, and I could be comfortable with doing Animal Well, Metaphor, Mouthwashing.
Not comfortable with that.
Yeah, I know.
Not happening. It's
Yeah.
going Tekken Metaphor. I will agree to put Animal Well under Mouthwashing, but I would prefer Mouthwashing than Animal Well. But I enjoy them both pretty equally.
So if you want a number 7 Animal Well, you want number 7 to be Mouthwashing. I obviously want number 7 to be Metaphor.
Yes.
Then
Should
we
we
go
just
to
fist
well, we listen and we okay.
What's
But
we gotta
then,
decide.
so here's the thing. Then we can have the conversation of, Mouthwashing's your 5,
Yes.
and Mouthwashing was your 9. Is that how that works?
Yes.
And then
Yeah,
where
yeah.
was Animal Well for both you guys?
Pretty high.
9 for me, I think.
Yeah, and then it was
think it
your
was at
your 5 for you
5,
then,
yeah.
and then once again we're talking about a game
So
that's
Brady
my
and I,
number.
yeah, that's how we ended
my-
up there. We're
Yeah,
both the
yeah.
inverse on this.
So
too.
that's then this is going to be a
You
really
couldn't just move it one spot up.
I'll do it right
Well,
now if it means
what-
getting rid of
once
this
again
problem.
this now puts it in a really difficult spot where you guys are literally inversely disagree.
So okay.
But I've played Mouthwashing.
Uh-huh.
So that allows us to have a little bit more context and conversation about it compared to something Animal that I have not gone to. But
So
like
you want to be the tiebreaker and put Mouthwashing over Animal Well?
no, I think that putting Mouthwashing even in the same conversation as Metaphor is ridiculous.
Listen,
We're not talking about
listen,
We're not talking
Metaphor's
about
going at 8. There's going at 9.
You decide where.
Well, I threw Tekken 8 to the wolves.
Okay,
we can get Tekken 8 back in this conversation.
Here's what
Okay, we'll put Metaphor at 10.
let's split the difference on Animal Well and Mouthwashing, and one of those is going to be 7. Is that okay?
Well, yeah. Oh, that's fine with me. Yeah, we're not putting Metaphor at 7.
Metaphor can go at 8.
I'm fine with that.
okay with
Yep.
Metaphor at 8.
Yep.
I understand what Nick's saying. Wait, that
Yeah.
it's almost universally highly praised. From what I've played, I think it's good. Probably
to not have
getting
it-
great.
Honestly,
So
if
I'm
somebody
comfortable with
going at number 8 when we release our company list, so there's gonna be people being like, so the only way that this happens is us not playing it, like or
Yes.
multiple people not playing it. It would be like once again, it wouldn't be in this conversation. It would be number 6 or number
Okay.
5 or number 4
All
if
right.
more people got to it, but that didn't happen. That's fine. So for the tiebreaker of Animal Well versus Mouthwashing, I think that let's just have the conversation. They're so fucking different,
Yeah, they're pretty different.
and they're both like excel at what they're trying to do. I once again, like, I think that Mouthwashing is a great game. It's not in my 10.
Okay, so let's.
I
I'm
think-
never gonna play Mouthwashing again. I could play.
why would you
Animal
want
Well.
to?
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
But
that doesn't mean
but
it-
it's
that doesn't
also
mean
it's
it
super
does
quality.
good. Yeah.
I think that if I were to throw it out there, I think that Animal Well at 7 feels
Okay.
right.
I can-
Mouthwashing
I
at
can
9
live with
feels
that.
right.
I'll
Metaphor
break
at
on
8
this.
feels right.
So Tekken, then
Mouthwashing, then Metaphor.
Animal Well.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I
I'm
can live
happy
with
with
that.
this.
I
I
can-
can settle.
yeah, Brady got what he wanted.
Okay.
Yeah, Brady, you got what you wanted, and and honestly, I was like, so last night, I'm talking to Connor, and I should not have heard the number. I should not have heard that the magic number was 8 points,
Yeah.
because after I
Yeah,
knew it was 8
yeah.
points, I knew for a
Starts
fact
doing
that
math.
Tekken 8 was, because I knew it was my number 4. I was like, Brady has it at 10 to put it next to number 3. Metaphor is at 3. I was like, okay, how am I going to be able to debate and battle Metaphor up this list? Because there's a chance, Laura was like, I was just going to tie break it and put Metaphor at 10 because it's only one person. But I even believe, I'm like, one person, if you had Animal Well at 3, like, and it wasn't on your list, and so, like, that's how it all worked out, I'd be like, that should be up there too, because if you say you're 3, that is a ridiculously high praise to it. It deserves to be in that conversation compared to things that are. I thought that there was a chance that Helldivers was going to be like 8, 8, 9, basically, and also be in this conversation. I'm like, this is it's difficult to break down and everything.
Next one's got to be Helldivers, right?
We'll see right now.
Next up is Helldivers 2
at number 6.
9 votes at number 6.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So are we gonna discuss these games further? Or just want to go through it?
I mean, we already
discussed everything, but I do.
But we can give a little praise.
Now we're just discussing our company list. Basically, I feel like this makes sense. I feel good about it.
Me too.
Like,
We
Helldivers.
all had a great experience with this.
I also think that this is interesting because if we hypothetically were on the jury for Game of the Year and everything, that means that this would be one of our nominees.
I think it should have been up there probably, especially just for like the moments in time that it was like this big breakout hit. So yeah. Number 5, we have Stellar Blade with 12 votes. Brady, you couldn't put it higher on your list and get it up there?
You guys thought it was way higher, and it very well could have been, but like I just enjoyed a lot more games, much more.
You had it on your list, right? At number 8 or something?
Yeah, it was my 9 or something like that. I once again, like, I really enjoyed Stellar Blade. I just played a lot of fucking awesome games this year, and like I couldn't get it up there even more. By the way, I think I'm doing pretty well. We also predicted, Connor and I did at least, this top 10 for the company and everything.
So far, I like this list.
This
I feel like I'm going to be upset very soon, but...
All right. Next up, we have Silent Hill 2 Remake.
The list suffers because Nick has bad opinions.
Getting up to number 4, which I can live with.
Yeah.
The fact that you and I voted for it and put it as high as it is, and for it to get this high and Nick not having voted for it at all, is good.
Also, I do believe that the top 3 is... definitively, if you asked what the company top 3 should be and we just were in a room hanging out, we would all come to the same conclusion that this is the company top 3. So Silent Hill 2 though is a game that I adore, and if it was
don't say adore.
I think it has the best atmosphere in any game ever.
I feel like it's
ever.
weird if you adore Silent Hill.
Yeah,
it makes you look like a psychopath.
The whole thing is that I just don't want Nick to Nick has only said negative things, I feel like, about Silent Hill 2.
I give it an 8.5 out of 10.
I know, but every single time we discuss it, it's the negatives of it.
Well,
you gave Hellblade 2 the same score as Silent Hill.
Yeah, because Hellblade 2 does 3 things better than any game ever. Any game
smells good.
ever.
Does good at smelling bad? Does bad?
No,
that's bad.
Brady just said shit smells good.
You know what? Does
but
good
number 4 makes sense. By the way, I am ridiculously dialed into on our company.
All right, so number 3, we have Balatro. I thought this might be number 2 with 20 points.
This is
that makes sense.
Yeah, I can live with that.
So
yeah,
what do you get? Astrobot or Final Fantasy?
Astrobot's going to be number 1.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Nope. Astrobot with 25 votes is number 2, and Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth with 27 votes.
Yep.
Ooh,
is
Balatro.
So, by the way, I had everything correct except for the bottom 4. I knew that I had the correct 4 games. I just didn't know how the debate was going to go. I had Animal Well at 7, Metaphor at 8. I thought I could maybe argue Tekken 8 up to number 9, and then Mouthwashing at 10. So the only thing that I had wrong there in this entire list is Tekken 8 and Mouthwashing flipped for what I predicted our top 10 would be.
My 4 through 10 are just completely wrong.
Math is not.
Or sorry, not 4 through 10. 10 through 7. The bottom 4 is what I meant.
Do you have something like Black Ops on there?
Black Ops 6 and Prince of Persia and Neva on there because I thought Brady played Neva. So.
Sorry.
But I have 6 to 1, basically perfect, except Astrobot and Rebirth are flipped.
Nice. Oh, you thought Astrobot was going to pull it out?
Yeah.
Because, once again, Astrobot just for the entire company was the consensus, like, this game fucking rules. We all gave it 10s. That like is an insane feat. And once again, I don't like from a quality, like there's things you can poke holes into Rebirth, and I think it's nearly a masterpiece, but it's a 9.5 for me. Astrobot is a game that forced me to give it a 10. So yeah, that checks.
So 10-1 is Tekken 8 at number 10. Number 9 is Mouthwatching. Number 8 is Metaphor Refantasio. Number 7 is Animal Well. Number 6 is Helldivers 2. 5 is Stellar Blade. 4, Silent Hill 2 Remake. 3 is Balatro. 2 is Astrobot. And number 1 is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Co-op 64 is game of the year.
I think I'm okay with that. I think Balatro. Actually, it's all right. Balatro belongs at 3 below those two games.
That's
fine.
I believe that like when it comes to our company, I genuinely believe that like none of us played the game, which was awesome. Like no one was trying to go and bolster things up too high or too low and everything. I think we just set our list.
Silent Hill 2 at number 1. You should have put it at number 1 just to fuck Nico.
It was there for a while. It would not have been Balatro has a fucking hold on me.
It would have been game of the year.
It would have been
20 points would it wasn't going to do it.
Rebirth at 10.
That was the thing. I thought that there was a chance that Rebirth, if it was your number 6 and then Astrobot was all of our 2s, Astrobot would have won.
Yeah.
But I was like, there's no way Brady, like I didn't know which one would be lower than it. And then also the fact that Astrobot wasn't everyone's number 2s, which I was dumbfounded by. But then I was like, well, I know you're top 2. That makes sense that you're 3. I thought it was gonna be your number 2. I was pretty certain on it behind Balatro.
Just so comical. All I can think about is the weeks leading up to this, and then me having Balatro at 6, and then every day just play 5 hours of Balatro, and then go to my notes app and bump it up 1, and then just day by day. I was like, and then I was talking to Jason. We were playing Valorant or something together. I was like, am I wrong to have Balatro at number 1? And he was like, no, it was nominated for the GOTY and it won a bunch of awards. I was like, you're right. But also Jason is like painfully addicted to Balatro as well. So it's like I'm just not asking the right person.
2 addicts just being like, this is real good shit, right? No. But yeah, I feel like this makes sense. Connor, how do you feel about the list overall?
I love it. I mean, I think this is I think a lot of this was a foregone conclusion, honestly. I'd prefer Silent Hill 2 to be higher, obviously, but that's about it, honestly.
Yeah, once again,
I wish I played Metaphor and had more of a take on it.
I think here's the fun part, though. I think that if you played Metaphor, it probably would have just been the 7 with a bullet.
Right.
Like it would not have, because we all played Helldivers and loved it. We all played Stellar Blade and loved it. Like those extra 2 to 3 points, even if it's in your 9-10 slot, do add up for a vote like this. And in this scenario worked out very well. Not a lot of ties. Last year we had a shit ton of ties. Adding Brady does help quite a bit. Yeah. Brady, thanks for joining the pod for this episode. This was a ton of fun.
We got a draft left.
Yeah, we
do have a draft left.
Who wants to go first on this one? You want to go first?
Me. No, just kidding.
I'll go first. Yeah,
okay,
I'll make it easy.
And
there's
I'll intro it. And send it to
there's an easy 1-on-1. Let's get a couple of these glasses out of the way just for the draft. Connor, you can intro.
Let me get my little list up here. But you can.
Yeah, I actually gotta get mine up as well.
I feel like there's such an easy 1-on-1 here, like where everything.
Really? I will explain this to start. I'll go over the parameters a little bit. You got to take the entire history into account. It's not just them today.
Oh yes.
You know what I mean?
No,
okay.
Yeah. Right. I'll take one for just one game. I don't care.
I already know what game it is, so let's go. Okay. He's like, who made Balatro?
I won't do that.
All right, ready? Today, we are drafting video game developers. We've done this once before, but today Brady is joining us, so we have a 3-person draft. This is taking into account the entire history of the developer, not just taking into account what they're doing today, but what they've done throughout the years. So, Nick, what is your first overall pick?
My first overall pick is the easiest pick ever. It is Nintendo.
Okay,
if we are allowing that to be on the board, it has to be taken 1 overall. Obviously, they have a bunch of dev teams within them, but as the umbrella that is Nintendo, this is clearly the best. I'm not saying that like there's not other teams that produce at a higher quality, but the amount of very, very, very high quality is second to none. So my number 1 is easily and obviously Nintendo.
That was my number 1 too.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That is not what I thought was going to go first. What I thought was going to go first is what I'm taking number 1, and I think it's pretty obvious here. Developers that don't miss. We're going to go Naughty Dog. Give me The Last of Us, Uncharted, little Crash Bandicoot action. I honestly thought that's what you were going to take, but I mean, you can't go wrong with Nintendo.
That's my number 2.
Yeah, I'll go Naughty Dog number 1. Let's see where Connor goes with this.
With my first pick, I'm going to go with Capcom. In their Renaissance era for the last decade now, basically, that we were like, are they back? Are they fully back? And oh, they're back, baby. And they have a long history of making great games in the PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2. Had a little bit of a dark period during the PlayStation 3 with Resident Evil 5 and 6 that a lot of people don't love. And they've just been crushing it since RE7. And with the Resident Evil remakes, with Onimusha coming back, with Okami coming back, Monster Hunter, they're at the top of their game. So, and they have a long history before that. So,
dude, Street Fighter? Come on, baby. Let's go.
With my number 2, I gotta play the game here, and I gotta go with From Software.
I was gonna be the villain and just take it.
I think were you looking at me hoping that I wasn't gonna pick From Software?
No, I think that I talked about the big 3, and Capcom's not one of the big 3, so I thought that you were gonna double down on big 3 picks here.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with From Software here, a developer that's kind of really just solidified their place in gaming history over the last decade or so with Dark Souls, Elden Ring, Bloodborne, Sekiro. Come on. What they just don't miss. So yeah,
I don't even play Souls-like games, and I was just gonna be evil and just take it for the fun of it. But
you're gonna start. That's gonna begin right now, dude. Are you kidding me? I'm so excited. You're gonna get into it, man.
All right. Yeah, I guess I can't take FromSoft, so I have to make the correct decision here, and I got to go with Rockstar Games for my second pick. I mean GTA, bully. Little Red Dead Redemption, and then you can't forget about Midnight Club, dude.
Come on. Yeah, I was shocked that you didn't double down and go From and Rockstar.
Rockstar for me is number 6.
Okay,
it's just
fine.
not. I like Rockstar games, and I love Red Dead Redemption 2, obviously, but and GTA 4 is great, but I'm not in love with Rockstar in the same way people were pulling out the Warriors game and Bully. And it's just
the Warriors.
I like these games, and Manhunt I don't like very much, but. Yeah, so they're a little bit lower for me.
With my second pick, I'm going to be choosing Atlas. This studio does not fuck around. Every single game that they produce, whether they're remastering Persona 3 or they are making new and exciting titles like Metaphor ReFantasio, they're at the top of their game. They are elite. They are S tier, and they are my second pick. With my third pick, I'm going to be choosing Remedy, one of the most creative studios ever. Control, Alan Wake 2. Are you fucking kidding me? Unbelievable studio. I absolutely adore these games, and that is why I'm going to choose Remedy with my third. Brady.
Oh, number 3. Let me think. I've got a lot of PlayStation love on here already.
Yeah.
So, and I really want to go with my third pick with more PlayStation love.
You only have two or one PlayStation thing, because you got Rockstar.
Naughty Dog.
Yeah,
I guess Rockstar
not,
goes either way. But you're right. But I'm still gonna go with a little more variety and get more Xbox love on here, and I'm gonna go with Bungie.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Like their initial run is unbelievable. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then you got to put respect on Destiny as well.
Yeah, I literally have I have some game examples written down. I literally have Halo and Destiny right down.
Yeah.
So
two titans
Titans
of the game industry.
Absolutely.
So, I can't believe this is here for me right now. I'm gonna go with Square Enix. With my third pick. If you made me just take Squaresoft before they merged with Enix, I would still put them here. I think their PlayStation 1 run is legendary, and then they've just bolstered it over the years. They've had some dark periods where they weren't making the best of the best, but I think that they've really turned it on in recent years with Final Fantasy 16 and Rebirth and Remake. So yeah, Square Enix with my third pick. With my fourth pick, I'm gonna go with Valve. Rumblings of Half-Life 3 circulating through the gaming industry right now. Can Valve learn to count to 3? If they do, they're taking it to the next level. But for now, Portal 2, Portal 1, Half-Life, Team Fortress 2, Left 4 Dead. Come on.
I'm not going to lie. I thought I was going to get them at number 5.
Yeah. There you go. So Valve with number 4. What do we got, Brady?
I was debating between Valve, but and what I'm actually gonna pick with my number 4th. I got 3 words for you. God of War.
Yep.
I'm taking Santa Monica Studios for my 4th pick.
There you go. And that's all you can say. First Animal City. That's all they made.
Literally.
Hey,
God.
PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale, bro.
That
PlayStation,
didn't make that.
but
They published it.
they published it.
They published it.
That's what I'm
Good
saying.
enough for me, baby.
I think I don't know how that relationship
Yeah.
was.
Yeah,
I think they like helped foster that.
I just know that it's in the God of War documentary. Okay, like there's like a splash of like the case on somebody's shelf or
That's
something.
funny.
Yeah, I've watched that documentary too many
And
goddamn
they
times.
mention it in God of War Ragnarok. Do you know this?
What?
They mentioned PlayStation All Stars in God of War
Yeah,
Ragnarok.
there's
Really?
a line.
Yeah, so Mimir.
Oh boy, what spoilers for God of War Ragnarok.
This is such a loose whatever.
I'm cool. I know what
But
I'm
he's
doing.
like you fought the world's greatest musician and like the undead, like, referring to like Parappa the Rapper and Sir Daniel and I forget, there's others.
There's I think
That's
it's
so
Nathan Drake
cool.
gets mentioned basically.
Oh yeah, like a treasure hunter and
Yeah.
stuff. Like
Yeah.
you went toe to toe with them. He's like, I don't want to talk about that.
that's so
It's
cool.
so good.
I want to play PlayStation All Stars.
I thought you were about to say I want to play Ragnarok, but nope, just more PlayStation All Stars.
No.
All right, I got 2 picks. With my 4th pick, I'm going to choose the workhorse that is Insomniac Studios. They are the PlayStation 5. They are for a long time, the only reason to go out there and buy something for that console. The Spider-Man games are phenomenal, but shout out to Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Holy fuck, what a video game. I think that's Insomniac's best game still to this day. And then with my last pick, I'm just going to choose him because he is the GOAT, Kojima Productions. I know that's just Death Stranding under his umbrella as of right now, but you know what you're drafting when you're drafting Kojima Productions. You're drafting the future. You're drafting Physint, is what that project's called? You're drafting OD. You're like the fact that this man is still in the game producing some of the most elite shit ever. I'm taking this largely due to the Death Stranding 2 trailer. That's how fucking good that trailer is. Shout out to Kojima, shout out to Kojima Productions, and shout out to him being a fan of some really cool music. All right, Brady, what you got for me?
Damn, there's a lot of good ones left out there to pick. But I think I'm going to get more variety on my list, and I'm going to get some retro love out there. So I think for my 5th and final pick, I'm going to go with Sega.
There you go.
Sega. Get a little Tetris, a little Sonic, meow.
Tetris. Well, I'm sure they published some Tetris games at some point, but Sonic
is a big one there.
Yeah.
Wait, so I'm allowing the pick. He doesn't get Atlas under it, right?
No.
Yeah.
You get Sega published
Yeah.
games or, like early.
It's like
development
drafting Bethesda, but you're getting Bethesda soft works in that scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
With my final pick, I'm between a bunch of stuff. And I'm just gonna go with my heart here. I'm gonna go with Housemarque.
Nice.
With my final pick with Super Stardust, Resogun, Dead Nation, Returnal, now under Sony's umbrella, but they just are the masters of like the arcadey type chase that high score experience, and were throughout all the PS3, much of the PS4, and kind of had to restructure and then put out a banger of Returnal, and I can't wait to see what this team does next. I was thinking about going Konami, but I kind of backed out of it.
Yeah, I got like Team Eco written down here.
Yep.
CD
Fuck,
Projekt
yeah.
Red,
Team Eco.
BioWare.
I have BioWare as well. Gen Design is now was Team Eco. So I thought about going there. Konami is really high up there. That was I was between them and Konami at the end.
I had Treyarch written down if we want to go
Okay,
with a little
yeah.
Black Ops love.
CD is the odd man out
Don't
here.
even have
Yeah.
I think for us it's going to change a lot. Which, by the way, we can now on this podcast with like bonus pod be like, I am so excited with bonus pod. This is just a Patreon commercial. Apparently, I'm so excited to be like, when you and I beat or not CD Projekt Red, when you and I beat Cyberpunk, it's like cool. We can actually have a place to have that conversation if we want to have it over there and everything.
I think it's like with The Witcher.
Like,
I think we all
but also,
play this
The
year.
Witcher 3, when we finally beat that before The Witcher 4 comes out, it's going to be like, let's just do a podcast on it, because this podcast is so dialed into just like week by week. There's always a conversation, a predictions episode, a review that we have to do. It's nice to have
Nobody
a place.
drafted Insomniac?
That was my
The workhorse,
The
yeah.
workhorse.
I've never played The Witcher, and honestly, I'm so scared to start at this point. Like, I feel like it's too late.
I was talking. Did you see Jacob, a friend of the channel's TikTok about The Witcher 3?
I saw a little bit of it.
He was just like, man, I started The Witcher. I hate this shit because it just ruined open world games for me. Like, it's so good.
I had Rareware on there. Rare.
Yeah.
Say that 3 times.
Banjo, Rareware.
Banjo and Donkey Kong Country
Nice.
too, back in the day. And Diddy Kong Racing, most importantly. I had Supergiant.
Yeah.
I wanted some indie love, but like, man, like you get when we're all picking, it's like I think I'm gonna get to these studios and like have to like make a hard. I think we should do a top. We should do 10 next time.
You
we
really
do this.
could, yeah.
I think that would make it a little bit more difficult.
Then you could definitely get a little more indie love.
Yeah, Respawn I had on there. Blue Point, and
Nice. Blue Point.
Real quick, I know that they get dunked on quite often, but Ubisoft is like the amount of decent IP that they have, like, and there's a lot of fun. It's not all great by any means, but the gems that they have throughout their entire timeline is like some of the best shit out there.
Like I said earlier, playing Rayman Origins, I'm like, dude, they cooked back in the day, with some smaller titles. The Child of Light, it was published by them as well. Like
Prince of Persia, the best game that they've released in a long time.
All right, well, that was your casual gaming conversation, the first one of 2025. Thank you so much for allowing us the opportunity to do this podcast and make this content for you. It's truly one of the things we love the most in our lives. So thank you so much for allowing us to do this. We'll see you on the next one. Peace out.